We're going. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Advisory Budget Committee. Today is Tuesday, August 25th, and it is 6:01 p.m. If we would. All right, I'm looking for what I did with the agenda. All right, if we'd all rise. Well, we'll just do the Pledge of Allegiance first.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. On my left is Nan Bartlett. I am Sharon Schilling. To my right is Noreen Downs. To her right is Joe Damon. To his right is Jim Curran. We are missing Charlie Allen tonight, and then I'd also like to take this opportunity for those of you. I wouldn't think that there isn't anyone necessarily unaware, but Doug McAllister, our other member, passed away last week. Doug was an integral part of this committee and several others in town, and his presence is going to be sorely missed. He was a great supporter. He had lots of good questions. He and I did not always agree, but we always were able to at least respect the disagreement with each other and work through it. So I personally will miss him severely. I've not heard anything from anyone regarding any funeral or memorial arrangements, but when I do, I guess I'll let the rest of the committee know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And with that, I believe that we don't have to, but I would like to elevate an alternate, which is Noreen. Noreen is our alternate, so I will elevate her to a voting member tonight, just because I don't know if Charlie will be here or not. I've not heard from him.
Do you need a motion to do that?
No, I not on this board. I can, as part of the, as the chairman, I can appoint people to the board and I can elevate alternates. So there's like 2 to 3 committees that can do that, and this is one of them. Charlie excused. Noreen elevated. Okay. First order of business then is the approval of the July 17th minutes. I did send copies to everyone. If you had a chance to read them, are there any comments?
No, just a couple of spelling things.
Yeah, that's my
Vice
typing.
Versus and board. So
Okay,
versus,
so
this
Where are
word
we?
right here.
Oh, here.
Is services versus
Should be.
out of district, I think. Is that what you meant, not vice?
I don't know what I meant.
Okay, all right. And board on
Sometimes.
that first
Oh,
line.
missing the D in
And then-
board.
And then vice is over here again, 3 days a week. Vice,
1, 2, 3, 4.
yeah, 3 days, where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down. It says vice again. I don't know what that meant. I thought it was versus, but
I don't know.
you'll have to look at it.
Yeah, I don't know if it should be VISE or no. That's a clamp.
That's buys. Otherwise, I would make a motion to accept the minutes as
As amended.
amended, yes.
Motion by Downs. Anyone seconding?
Second.
Current second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. The minutes are approved. I will make those spelling errors and grammatical errors and
Whatever.
forward them to town hall to be put up on our website. That website needs updating big time.
It does.
All right, we will move into public comment, but before we do, I have a couple things that I'd like to discuss. I'd like to my portion public comment. I've already talked about Doug. I'd like to talk about our last meeting. I have had several people reach out to me and kind of shake their head about how I allowed this board to conduct itself, and I take full responsibility for that. I should have moderated better. But going forward, I just want to make sure that we are all clear that I want to make sure that we all, and I just spoke about it, show each other respect. We can disagree with each other, but I want us to respect each other. If you have an issue with an individual member of the board, their opinion, what they're saying, let's figure out a way to resolve that so that it doesn't necessarily tumble into the workings and the discussions regarding budget matters. we need to a certain extent, stick to budget matters. We're going to focus on that aspect of it, and for today's budget and tomorrow's budget. So we have the responsibility to also address drawdowns and things of that nature. That's not questioning how the town is run. That's understanding where the money is going so that it can foretell for future where we need to budget, where budgets need to change. It is not our responsibility, nor is it our charter, to question decisions, especially regarding personnel. Okay. It is, however, our responsibility and our mandate to understand how those decisions impact funding and the budget, and not just of town, but also for the school. And ultimately, it affects the taxpayers. Okay. It would behoove the town and the school, because I only distinguish between them because they're two separate budgets. That's the only reason I distinguish between them. But it would behoove both entities to be as open and forthcoming with details as legally possible in order to make sure that this committee understands where the future impacts could be on the budget and where those issues might arise that would cause taxpayers to have to expend additional funds. It is not our job, and I'm gonna, because you're sitting here, it is not our job to say how many paraprofessionals you should have. It is our job to ask for the backup that indicates via numbers where that number came from. Okay, that's legitimate, but I want to make sure that we stay within the confines of what we're supposed to be working on. And it's easy for us to get drawn into like questioning things and asking direct questions about where this number came from, where that number came from. But I think we need to ultimately keep in our heads, how does this impact the taxpayer? How does this impact the budget? And if the issue is, well, it really doesn't, it's just a question that I have, then save it. We can put it in a parking lot, and you're free to talk to the school or go to the school board at their next meeting and ask that question as a citizen. I will not keep you from asking questions as citizens. Okay? That part's out of the way. Does anybody have any comment about it or concerns?
No.
No? Anyone? Yes, ma'am?
If someone gets going down a path, can we say point of order to ask you to comment?
Pull
or
them
to-
back in?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because I think that happened a number of times, things that are not in our bailiwick. They're in the Board of Selectmen's purview, and we can wait for them for an answer, or we can say that's theirs.
That's theirs,
There's-
but we're
if what-
requesting that you address it.
Exactly,
Selectmen.
but not try to solve it here.
No,
Okay,
right.
that's really what I wanted to make
No,
sure.
no,
that
no.
we could call point of order and say, are we trying to solve this, or are we asking the question?
Are we asking the question for
Okay,
information?
thank
Yep,
you.
absolutely,
Great.
absolutely. I think all of you received the email that I sent that indicated the guidelines, if you will, for Lucia's participation with this board. I have asked when that participation will begin. I don't have an answer yet. I think part of it is day to day to see how things upstairs are going and where everything stands, and how above water her head is.
As a budgetary question to that,
Mhm.
is her meeting even 2 hours with us monthly within the scope of what her job title,
Her
job
duties.
description, and or compensation cover? I mean, I would love to have the most amount of input as possible, but if it's putting somebody who's already taxing their hours but not
Mm-hmm.
getting enough compensation to tack a few more hours. I mean, I saw that in her email a little bit like, I'll give you 2 hours. At 8 o'clock, I'm walking out of the room.
Well,
You know,
at 8, we're done. I mean, I'm tired, I don't know about you guys, but
Mhm.
after I have full days, so.
but I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that we're not abusing her time.
No, right, and I don't want to do that
Because I'm sure that the
either.
budget committee is not the only committee that
she
would
has to-
request her presence at different times.
So in answer to your original question, is it in her job description? I don't know. I've never seen her job description. I do know that for the last however many years being on the budget committee, the town administrator came to the meetings, was actually the note taker for those meetings, and provided input when we had questions regarding, drawdowns and ETFs and those kinds of things, and or we had questions about department head information, because making the department heads come to every meeting the way they do the select board meeting that's nonsensical to me. That doesn't make sense when the town administrator was fairly privy to to all of that information and could answer those questions. In her absence, at like this point, if we have those kinds of questions, I think you saw in those minutes that we're perfectly within our right to put them in writing, send them to town and say, the advisory budget committee is looking for this information, and have it come back to us. And with that in mind, and the conversation I had after that email, I have talked with Selectman Gray, and she will go before the selectmen, but she had Lucia check our schedule to make sure that we did not have a meeting on September 15th.
15th, I believe.
15th.
Yeah, that's
And
the
she
last
was-
date I saw.
Yeah, it's a select board regular meeting, but she is going to request a joint meeting between the select board, the budget committee, and the town administrator, all three of us, to get us all in the same room, answer some questions, get us all on the same sheet of paper, and keep sort of mapping our way forward. And
Yeah, I
see.
believe that was, everybody concurred today, so that
Okay.
should be
What was
as requested on the
9:15.
Yeah, I believe it was the 15th.
Yeah, it's a regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen's
But
meeting,
I-
and I think there's just an hour
But
on
the
the
ABC
schedule.
will be on the schedule.
Will
Yeah,
be on the
no,
schedule.
that was discussed today, and
Yeah.
everybody was in agreement, so.
Well, yeah, it's easy for you guys. It's your regularly scheduled meeting. For us, it's not. We have other scheduled meetings. We have the monthly. We'll be moving into bi-monthly. Plus, we have the working sessions with the ABC. With the school board. Plus, we attend the regular meeting, the first meeting of the month with the school board, and now we're adding this meeting, 9:15, to it. But I do believe it's important. I believe it will put us on the same page.
Mhm.
But I understand the time issue that it's going to require from us, and I will understand if from a school board perspective you're not able to make it, because it's,
So does that
I'm
mean
not
we
able to
meet at
make it either.
4:30 on the 15th?
no, they meet at 5.
5.
5.
I'm not able to
Okay.
make it either,
No, Noreen.
So just come for 5.
but I can watch it afterward.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
I'll watch
It'll
it.
be on, it'll be
Yeah,
recorded.
yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Does anybody else have any comment or concerns or questions?
That's good.
All right. And we have no other public, so I don't see any other public around. So we will move on. Quickly, an update on school board budget review.
Not much has changed. Our
Right.
fund balance is still sitting extremely high. Heather's working on the MS forms now. We signed a tentative copy of it last night. And so that should go get approval from Marcia Clark in the DOE, so that the town can set the tax rate, because I know that was a question that they had.
I know they're working really hard, like they're urging people and working with VDOE to try and get that tax
Yeah, and
rate
the
set
county.
early.
Se-
Carroll County needs to set the
September
rate.
1 is the date that it is
Yeah.
due, and for whatever reason, that date means almost nothing. You know, because there have been years it's like it's October 1st, why haven't we submitted yet? Well, we're waiting on this. Are we being penalized? No.
No.
But it gets, the earlier you get it in, the earlier you get into the queue,
Right.
which allows them to approve all of our documents so that they can set that as forward. Then the other thing last night we did talk about was a reclassification. We have a contracted service at the school currently that's in our budget after some careful analyzing by the business administrator, found that that person, most of their income comes from us. So
Ah.
therefore,
They're-
it would be a liability for us not to offer that person and make them staff, an employee versus a contracted service, because they're receiving so much. Again, it was a little beyond me, but it was
Interesting.
a recommendation from the auditors.
So if you like, I have experience with that from when I was a government contractor, the difference between a 1099 person, contract person, and or employee. And it really depends on not how much, where their income is derived, but it's really dependent on the independence of the decision making. If they control their schedule, if they control the independence of their decision making, they are independent. If the school controls their schedule, says you need to be here 9 to 5 or whatever, and the school says these are the things you will do, then they are an employee.
And I know Heather has done a lot of research on it, and based on the information that she's found is, yes, I mean, if you're talking in a school, we have class hours between X and X, we have time set aside for certain things of the day, so yes, we would drive a schedule. And I believe we drive the majority of income as well. So we discussed it last night at the board meeting.
What budgetary impact does it have going from
Potentially about, it was about a $15,000 hit to the
increase?
increase
Okay.
to
For
us
this school year.
for this current school year.
Okay.
And understanding we're still operating under default, so we have to make it work, but we're trying to figure out what we need there. The other thing is the superintendent did approve a best interest case for a family, for 2 students to attend a different secondary school district, not elementary, but other than elementary.
Is that an outplacement?
Not an outplacement, it's a best interest, so
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, the school we have of record
Mm.
wasn't working or didn't work. So there's a potential, we don't have an actual number, but I'm guessing it's about $54,000 of
Mhm.
exposure
Okay,
And
so
we have to pay?
that,
Yeah.
that we will be responsible to pay.
Paying the
Now,
tuition fees to the new
To
schools.
another district.
To another
district, yeah.
Or
and
another
the,
school or whatever.
yeah, the other, I was just actually setting the agenda for the board meeting prior to coming here. I mean, the thought's gonna be probably where we're gonna fund that from, which would probably be that 2.5% that we carry over. Because we didn't, we didn't have that in our budget.
no, right, and nor could you necessarily
So-
foresee it. So
But that's what that is.
so we're looking at about a 70K between 15 and the 54, the total 69, but about a $70,000 budget differential from what was approved to what we would
Right.
need to expend.
And Heather Sherwood is working very quickly to try to get all of the staff changes and everything laid out into the system so that we can see, because some may be less than the staff member that left. Insurance may be different,
Right.
so she's trying to get that whole set up for our next meeting to show us exactly where we look as the start of the year happens for us.
Okay. All right. Anything else of note or interest?
Nope, the work around the buildings I guess they finished up out back today. And the fence guy was given the thumbs up to come back and put the fence back up.
Did school start?
No,
No, wait.
No,
it's
not
after.
till the 9th.
It's
After the
September.
election, the day
Yeah.
after the
September
election.
9th.
Yeah, it's late.
That was a
You
good
could be
one.
going to school till 4th of July.
I'm not.
No, I mean, you're starting like a
June-
week late.
June
Yeah.
June 30 is the last day in the
Dead.
collective bargaining agreement.
Oh, is it
Right,
June
so
30th?
they don't
They
work,
could-
they can't
But
work
remember,
past
we're
June
also
30th.
not 180 days. We are by hours.
Right.
Okay,
Oh,
all right.
oh, yeah.
I
No
don't think
snow
I knew
days this
that.
year, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, no snow days. Tell the road crew.
Yeah, tell us crew. No
snow days.
No snow days for the buses this year.
So what's the hours? What's the total for hours that have to be? He's
Don't
like,
ask.
what?
Don't ask. I don't know. I don't have that answer off the top of my head,
All right.
but
Okay.
I will write it down and find out.
Yeah, I'm
what
just
the-
curious, like how that works out.
Yeah.
Does it work out to 180 days? And then if you multiply it by whatever 7 to 7.5 hours or 6 hours for kids or whatever.
Whatever it is, it seems to work out to be less than 180 days,
Right,
based on.
that's what I remember.
Well,
I
it's
couldn't
six-
give you a number.
I remember it's like a 6.25 a day
Right.
number that
For
sits
kids,
for students.
for students.
Yeah.
And okay, well, we can take that offline. But it does the number of hours as opposed to days has sort of a budgetary impact. So I'm curious as to what that number is and where it came from and how it was derived.
The state.
Okay.
It's a state has
States
two
have-
formulas in which you
Right.
can prescribe to:
Okay.
number of days or number of hours.
Never heard that.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to jump back to the public comment a little bit because Selectman Gray is here. And so I think I addressed the fact that we are looking to have a joint Board of Selectmen, ABC, and have the town administrator attend a meeting so that we can everybody get on the same page as to what's going on, where everything stands, and what the future holds, and where we're looking to be. Noreen is unable to attend that meeting; she's otherwise engaged. I did.
She offered me a pass.
I offered Jim a pass because
I haven't even looked at my calendar yet, but
I don't. Yeah, I have no idea like what the school board. But I did say to a certain extent, I understand you guys are doing this on one of your meeting dates. Our meeting dates obviously are different. They're same day, different week. So this adds another meeting to our schedule, which has already added several meetings due to the budget working sessions with the school and the fact that we attend the school board meetings every month. So I want to make sure that the workload on the budget committee, that people understand that it's not just this once a month that we meet. That
What
there's
time?
other. I don't know. Do we? Well, they would meet at 5, right? You guys start your meeting at 5, the select board meeting.
Hi, Joy Gray, 4 Privet Drive, the cupboard under the stairs. Harry Potter reference. So I think we were thinking maybe 6 p.m. As we did with the school board, where we started our meeting, public comment, got the manifest out of the way and things like that. And then the school board arrived at 6 for a brief touch base, and then exited and went back to the regular meeting. So that was my thought process. And I don't think it's going to take very long. I anticipate an hour or even less than an hour, but conversations will ensue. So it is just basically a lot of emails, a lot of conversations. Just want to get everybody together in the same room, on the same page, especially as we move into the heavy budget season. So we cordially invite you on September 15th. Exact time to be determined, I'm guessing 6, since that's what we did with the school board.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else?
No.
No.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, yeah. Remind me that I want to address 9/11 at the end. Yeah.
No, that's right.
9/11. So. Okay. Anything else for the school board?
Bye.
nope.
No.
Actually, there are veterans on this board, so literally, thank you for your service.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
Chat.
Selectmen's update. Joe.
Hey, we're closely monitoring the budget, the expenses for the big budget expense right now, as we all know, was the June 10th, 11th storm damage. We had spent $352,000 on our contractors, just getting the roads passable. We received a quote from Pike Industries for $233,000. I'm rounding it up to the nearest.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't remember the 15 cents or whatever at the end of it. For the emergency asphalt repairs on Colby Hill, Mooney, Town Line, and Deer Hill, where they put the new culverts in. So that contract was signed. The work starts on or about 1 September.
So that's the contract where we had we had a choice. We could do 180,000 and it would get us to such and such a state,
Yeah,
or we could spend the extra 50,000.
do the top coat, you know,
Right.
the additional inch and a half, whatever, like
Right.
on Colby Hill, restore Colby Hill to what it was
Was.
prior to the storm.
Not just do emergency,
See,
not
this-
just repair
This will
it, but
finish the
restore it.
road, yeah,
And this will finish Mooney Hill as well,
and
correct?
Town Line,
And Town Line.
and Deer
Okay.
Hill will be recoded as well. There's 18,000 or so left in a previous year's warrant article for roads that will take 18,000 off of that. But those are the big expenses. As we previously discussed, the governor did ask FEMA and the White House for emergency declaration. It was denied. The appeals, the governor is gonna appeal, and the New Hampshire congressional delegation is really lobbying hard in Washington with FEMA and the White House to reconsider, but I'm not sure, I don't think the appeal has been submitted by the governor's office yet. But we'll keep following that, but my personal opinion is I think it was denied, so we can't count on that money, we need a plan B.
And
No.
see.
And so, yeah,
And see.
so it is what it is,
Yeah,
you know, okay, we'll move forward. The goal for this year is just to get the roads plowable. You know, get the gravel roads, get the asphalt done, so we don't wreck the plows on the holes. Again, we're gonna get complaints, like, you know, the road's not perfect, it's not gonna be this year.
Right.
So just wanna manage that expectation with people, you know, that are listening, watching. The DPW's hitting it hard, you know, the roads are safe to passable, everybody, emergency access, all of that is there. Again, is the drainage gonna be done, the culvert's gonna be done, you know, the ditching done, probably not till, you know, we'll have to readdress it again in the spring. But, you know, we have to get ready for the winter, and that's our goal. We did get a new drawdown, I shared it, it's a stapled onto we have a pretty high confidence in this. The work that we're doing on QuickBooks with Lucia and Abby, our QuickBooks Pro, is really coming along. They're you know, updating all the numbers, putting in the budget numbers, that type of thing. Overall, it looks like we're 66.35% spent, and we're 64.93% of the way through the year. Today is the 237th day of the year, so it's not too bad considering
Overall.
overall, yeah. We did go over on especially the overtime hours and materials and things like that.
Well, I think we can talk about some of this when we get to the budget
Mhm.
drawdown, ETF, and the revenues. So I don't want to necessarily spend the time now during your update when we can kind of address it.
One of the things I think we need to just be aware of, we are looking at a cash flow issue, probably for early October. We do have some pretty big expenses like the roads. We just paid $650K to the school SAU for, I think, what is it, the Conway
Most
tuition
likely
bills or
tuition
whatever.
bills, yep.
We did, Lucia reached out to the SAU and renegotiated kind of our payment plan, installment payments for the school, so that we can spread the payments out through December too.
And I think that was at the back of this as
Yeah,
well.
just, you know, to try to balance, you know, our cash flow a little better. We are looking at Camden Bank for what's called a tax
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 anticipation.
anticipation note. Again, that's like a short-term 30-day, 45-day note to cover us until tax money starts to come in with the second, you know, tax bill.
Question, Joe. Does the select board still have a line item for $1 in that? I know years ago there was a lot of talk about that they kept a line item in their budget for $1 for tax anticipation notes because you can't spend money that you haven't, you don't have a line for.
it.
No, I agree.
So-
I'm not
so-
sure, Jim.
I know for years we kept they kept $1 in that line for those purposes.
Cordell's gonna, I think, has to write a letter to the bank, that type of
Okay.
thing. We just started reaching out to Camden Bank to figure out how to proceed.
Okay.
My best guess, and I gave Sharon this number the other day, was probably about 400K, just to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we can cover the checks until the taxes come in. If we do go with the TAN, the payment is due by the end of December 31st. So again, it's only a short term, it's like an equity loan on your home, like a bridge loan, line of credit.
Yeah.
Again, because we've had the big expenses with the roads. I had asked Christine to run this just before I came down, just so we have an idea of actually how much cash we have on hand right now. We have 3.782 million. We have 1.65 million in the general fund. We have 1.72 million in the money market account. We have 33K in our tax credit card, 218K in the town clerk state account.
Can I have that?
Yeah,
for the
I'll give it.
notes?
Yeah, I'll
Because
give you the
we're
sheet.
writing it while
Yeah,
you're
so you
saying
don't
it.
have to write it all down.
Yeah.
Then 160K in the town credit card. We have money. We're paying the bills, but again,
Wait a minute, go back. When you say we have how much in the town credit card? It's a credit card. It doesn't.
I'm not sure what exactly the account is. It's $160,000.
Limit, maybe that's the limit.
No, it says current balance. So
So
Is it a negative or a positive balance?
no, it's positive, and it's included in the $3.782 million
It
total.
might be some type of line of credit.
Sometime,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure.
right.
Christine printed this out just before I came down, so, but I asked her. I said, how much money do we actually have in our general fund and our money market, to cover some of these bigger bills that are coming in. So that we got still 3.782 million. Here, you can
And how
pass
much
that to
of the money
Sharon.
market?
Yeah, there you go. That's sorry. She just gave me that.
Yeah.
She was heading out the door. I was just curious at how much cash we actually had available.
Current, and then available says 5.5.
I'm not sure where that number comes from, Sharon.
I don't either.
The big numbers, okay,
Yeah,
big ones.
but again, Jim had mentioned earlier, we have to get the tax,
I know where it comes from. Sorry.
get the tax rate set.
Oh, yeah.
So
Right, that way the tax bills can go out.
the tax bills need to go out
Earlier,
earlier.
back-
That's our
due back.
goal, is to
them
get the
covered.
tax bills out earlier so that money starts to come in to
Right.
cover us to
Right.
the end of the year.
Is there
But,
any thought of offering a benefit to paying your taxes early? I know years ago, before
Can you
the
do
tax
that?
law changed,
Right.
well, before the tax law changed and with property taxes and so much that you could write off or not, a lot of people actually came in early, I believe, and paid their tax bill like almost a year ahead.
To get like 2 or 3% off.
Well, to be able to there was a deductible reasoning for it. I don't remember what it was. I wasn't in no position to do it, so therefore I didn't bother me.
No, me either.
But
so,
people
yeah.
came and actually,
Yeah,
paid
for
the
the
taxes.
IRS
by,
purposes, they're prepaid taxes. They're
Yes.
considered prepaid.
Oh, that's right. If
taxes,
you
so-
pay it this year,
Yeah,
you can
for
take
next
the
year,
deduction.
You take the deduction
Right.
off of this
So-
year.
That's true. You get the tax benefit.
and I know some people had done that, so I don't know if there's
I'm
any
not sure.
type of benefit you could.
I don't know. Mike's
Throw
working
together an
on
offer.
it.
From a bookkeeping standpoint.
Be a nightmare.
Man.
Yeah.
Be a nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think you can actually kind of just pay money on your tax account
Right.
and it rolls over or something. But I'm not sure. I have to check with Mike on that. But other than that,
Messes up
no,
this
that's
year.
we're pretty busy. You know me. I worry a lot about the bottom line and the numbers, especially on the road stuff. My big question is how are we going to pay for this? And we're trying to come up with a reasonable plan. I'll be honest, I'm not in favor of like a $3 million road bond because the interest payments alone are about $120K. I brought this up
You did.
in the last
You
Board of
did.
Selectmen meeting. I think the approach will, again, we don't have a plan yet. We're just focusing on the emergency. But this spring we do what we can afford. And what the taxpayers approve at the town meeting.
I would encourage you all. I know that part of the town is still in sort of what I would call the throes of handling the fallout from the emergency. But the sooner there's a plan, the better off the town will be. And that, the longer that we wait, the less the number of options we have. They start to fall off the plate and sort of force our hand into a certain position that we may or may not want to be, depending on what that is. And so if there's anything that we can do to encourage getting a plan. Wow,
I know the
I'm more
DPW
than willing to help
Yes.
with it. I'm sure other people.
We need a
are.
prioritized list and kind of where we're gonna focus the limited amount of money, we have for
Right.
next year. So, one thing we'll work on in the spring is we'll try to go for the congressional appropriations again. We were talking about replacing, the East Madison Bridge was compromised. It was repaired, it's safe. But, the abutments washed out, it was, Burke went in and put big stones in and, shored the bridge up. But, that needs to be part of a, future discussion on Madison road infrastructure is that bridge is gonna need to be replaced. It's something I don't think we could afford as a town. So let's kind of try for the grant like we're doing with the dam and the salt shed, if we can get some money towards it. So, we'll work with our, delegation after to see if we can get federal funding for that.
Are you sort of picturing a 3-year time frame to bring things so that they're in good shape, they're engineered good shape, so we don't have
Yeah,
a
it's
repeat
gonna, I
of
see,
flooding?
I don't know how many years exactly, Noreen, but this isn't gonna be something we do next
We
spring.
can't.
We can't afford it,
It's
right?
gonna be a
Again,
3-4
I don't know.
year.
We'll have to see what we can, again, I don't wanna stick the taxpayers with a $3 million, road bond either.
Right.
You know what I mean? We do what we can afford, and again, we need the plan. I think it's critical we have a prioritized list.
An
And
engineered plan.
engineering,
Plan.
A real
Real
plan, and
plan.
okay, here are the roads we're gonna focus on, spring, summer 2027. But, I think once September 3rd or so, when Pike wraps up and we see some of our main roads, back to normal, I think there's gonna be a lot of relief for people. I'm just waiting for those paving trucks to show up. They're gonna do East Madison as well, where, the asphalt's broken, washed out.
Yeah,
So, we're not gonna repave East Madison, but the damaged sections
fix the
will be
damage
fixed.
sections, yeah.
Again, that will be kind of, I think, turning the corner a little bit, at least on the emergency, when the paving trucks show up.
Right.
We-
Anything else that's not emergency related?
No, but that's our big,
Like-
that's our big topic.
I'm aware that
Yeah.
the Board of Selectmen had some meetings and you all have come up with wage scales for all of the positions in town? Or is it just
Just the DPW.
Just the
It was-
DPW?
Well, you were military, federal government. It's the same thing. It's a step chart, right? Grades, 1 through 10 and 10 steps. And it's, all Lucia and Madison did was they mapped the current wages and they collected a lot of data from other towns to, kind of what the hourly wages are for, a CDL truck driver with 5 years experience. Don't quote me on the exact number, $27.35 an hour. So that's, 8 years, it increases to $29. I don't have a copy of it with me. We got it upstairs. But the impact on the budget this year wasn't, I think it was only about $4,000 or $5,000 to kind of map people into their,
Okay. That doesn't sound like a
it
big
wasn't
deal.
it wasn't a whole lot.
It's not a big deal.
Is there a move to do that for all town
I
employees?
believe so, but the DPW was the priority. We have updated job descriptions, all that type of thing. So
And is there an organization chart?
I'm not sure.
Do that to help.
I don't know if we're at that point yet. We're making incremental steps on trying to at least make it understandable where people are on the chart, kind of what the expectations are, where they're hired, kind of if they're here 8 years, what the hourly wage would be. And it works just like the federal government. The first, I think, three steps or 4 steps are, like every year. Then it goes to 2. Then
Does the town have to vote on that, or is that just something that the select board can implement?
I think the select board can implement it. And we took all the existing wages and mapped it to the new wage scale.
I would agree because I believe it's bottom line budget.
Yeah, because it's not impacting the budget.
And it's not like the school's collective bargaining agreement that is basically planning out for more than 1 year.
Right.
But it takes a lot of the subjective, you know,
Yeah.
guesswork out of, because you can look and go, okay, a grade 3 equipment operator with 5 years experience, here's what the hourly rate is. You know what I mean? It's not subjective to,
Right.
oh yeah, we think you deserve 2.
And you're hiring, Sharon Schilling, who's got
Guide.
CDL with 7 years. We're putting her right there.
Yeah.
Makes it
We
really
know
easy not to
exactly
say, I know
where-
Sharon, she's good. Put her here.
Put her in. Don't put
Yeah,
her
yeah.
here. No,
So,
I know her.
it's
Put her
trying to-
over there.
It's trying to,
Don't hire.
I guess, codify or
There's a lot of moving parts to
Parts.
it, though. I mean, definitions for what constitutes each step, and is it just time in service, or is it time in that particular experience? Is it time as a CDL? We're going to use that because it's the easiest one. Time as a CDL operator, or is it just somebody who's been here 10 years, not somebody who's 10 years as a CDL operator. There's all that stuff that has to go into that kind of thing, and it has those budget impacts. So
But all the other towns, the counties, state, all use this kind of as a standardized, employees wage
So
scale.
you're just getting on board?
Yeah, we are. We're trying to modernize.
And just if you are looking at that, the way ours works is ours is based on education, but number of years in that position.
Mhm.
So if you're a teacher with 10 years of experience, but 2 years with us, you're bachelor's plus 10, not how many years you're with us.
Mhm.
So it works on how many years in the job or in the role that they.
right. How many years experience doing the position I hired you to do, whether it's here or somewhere else?
That's actually-
Are there any caps? on
No, they
those?
are capped. Yeah, it's
Oh,
step
I
10.
thought you said cats.
Cats.
No,
Oh, you did
no,
say
I heard
Cats.
caps. I heard caps.
Okay.
In
Or
other
that's how
words,
my brain
for this
interpreted it.
laborer position,
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
even
there
if-
is.
Okay, you can work here.
And the idea was too, just because somebody's been here 15 years,
Right.
but they're in a grade 3,
Correct.
they should not be making
More than.
more
X.
than
More than somebody in a grade
what
one.
the cap is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
the,
there is a cap for
the step
positions.
10 is
They
capped.
max out.
Cap.
You max
'Cause
out just like
this-
you do in the federal government.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's in virtually everywhere. The salary for the position is based on the position responsibility,
Yes, that's
as opposed to
Just
just how long
longevity.
somebody's been there.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was the idea, right?
Okay.
So there are caps on there,
Okay.
and those will adjust like they do with the federal state government,
With
where
with
with inflation, what
and
next year's
cost of living
COLA is.
increases, and
Yeah, which just while we're talking that subject, not that our wages will. I saw an estimate, I think it was from AARP, just on our Social Security for 2027. Looks like about 3.5, 3.6%. Inflation was down in June,
It
July,
was.
but now it's back up again. The fuel prices are gone up.
Mm.
That's one issue we're having, and Lucia's working on that. We haven't been able to lock in the price. You know how
for
we
fuel, right?
Yeah.
for
Yes.
the diesel fuel, heating oil, and
Mhm.
propane. Usually every summer we would get,
Mhm.
Eastern.
Yeah.
Remember, they would send a letter saying,
Sure.
Here's
Hey,
what your price is.
here's what it's going to be for this
Mhm.
winter. $3.52 for
Mhm.
whatever.
I believe we just
No,
locked.
nobody will
I'm sorry?
lock in prices right now.
I
Oh,
believe we just
I
locked.
have.
We just locked.
Who,
Yeah.
who do you guys use?
Urban.
White. I use White Mountain.
Well, I got my letter from White Mountain.
Mhm.
I locked in it. I think it was like $4.51 for number 2 heating oil.
I
I
think-
don't use heating
I
oil. I
think
use
the-
propane.
Three
The school just
$3.59 for propane.
Yeah, I have 352. I think
Something
it
like
is.
it was
Something like that.
350 or so. Wow, that's what we locked in.
Including a price cap. That includes the
Yeah,
price
that's
cap.
the most you'll pay.
Yeah.
The letter I got today from, but we're trying to lock in. Lucia's looking at, I think, White Mountain, Irving, other companies, especially to heat this building, and
Oh, yeah.
we're using number 2 oil and the diesel fuel for the plow trucks and
Oh,
everything
right.
too.
Yeah.
And diesel fuel the other day was $5.69 down on 16.
Mm.
I mean that we used to pay under $3 I think here for the DPW with a long-term contract, right? We'd buy. So I mean our fuel prices are up 50%, 60%. All right.
Anything
No,
else?
No, I think I hit most of the bases there.
Okay. Moving on then, the 26-27 budget objectives. I think we've talked a little bit before about requesting that the town zero-base the budget. Go back to,
Which
or at
we
least the
are.
department heads work on zero-basing the budget. It may work out that it's pretty much the same as what their budget was last year, that kind of thing. But I think really taking a look at it this year, finally sitting down and pulling apart the pieces and checking them and validating them and zero base it. Like, do we need this?
We're going through all of our contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy and I sat down, we're looking, going, why are we paying this? How much are we paying here? One of the things we're looking at, and Sharon was part of this discussion, was, we're all the copper phone lines come in, right? This is old school telephone here, for the whole town. It's very expensive. And we're paying thousands of dollars a year for plain old telephone service. And Fidium came in with it's under 50% to
Oh, wow.
bring in
That's
fiber.
Yep.
The thing with Consolidated is within 2 years, all their copper phone, the old twisted pair wires are going away. So we're going to have to update to, like a VoIP phone, network-based phones eventually. But
We'll end up with sound-powered phones, I swear. I, from a technology standpoint, I think it's short-sighted to do away with copper lines in the long run, given the state of the things that can cause it to go to the fiber and voice over IP and all that stuff, the things that can cause it to go wrong and you lose that access.
I agree.
Having
when
still
the
at least
network goes down,
one-
you've seen
You're
it.
dead.
We've seen it when
You have a
Verizon
phone?
goes down, right?
Right.
You have a network outage. I mean, your
Yep.
cell phone doesn't work.
Right.
So
Yeah.
one of the things to look at when you're doing that, Joe, is make sure you maintain at least one POTS line, because your alarm systems will not run off of VoIP.
But the issue is the POTS lines are going away. Like the
Consolidated
companies are
is shutting.
stripping them out.
The central office is right around the corner here.
Yes.
Right around
Yeah,
the
right
corner from
next
the
to the
school.
church.
They're
Yeah, right
shutting
next to
down
the
those.
church, yeah.
They're going to sever those lines.
They've been talking about it for years.
They were almost wiped out where the flood came down.
The
You know,
water.
You went looked at the ditch.
Consolidated
You
would
could
have
see the
loved
big
that.
cables there that were
Ouch.
there.
It was a river.
Yeah, but there's huge telephone cables running along Conway Road there, and you can see them up on the poles as well. But all that stuff's going away, and they're really pushing, like, the Starlink and the fiber now, and so. But we're really looking at the contracts, where we're spending money, why are we spending money on certain things. Can we do better? I'm digging through, I read pencil, like the drawdowns, I'm looking at the budgets. Again, I think we need a priority focused approach where we know that we're gonna need money next year for roads, right? That's kind of our infrastructure,
It's a biggie.
that's a biggie, so we're gonna have to, balance that.
We're going to have to find areas that
We can,
I hate to say cut. We're not cutting them. We're just not going to spend there. Right?
No,
They're-
but again, it's wants versus needs,
Right.
right? Or needs versus wants. We need to fix the roads. We need to,
Right.
And okay,
we do
were
need
looking
fuel to run
Yeah.
the plow trucks.
yeah.
Those kinds of things. And those, for me, that's where we start. You start with those requirements
Right.
and have a requirements-driven budget, as opposed to taking last year's budget and looking at it and saying, okay, what do we think phones are going to be this year? What do we think we're going to spend on rentals? That kind of stuff. It's like, what are our requirements, and how do we achieve them, and then what does it cost us? Do we have the right equipment? It's kind of a whole new, and it's a lot longer the first year to do it. It's a lot more effort to sit down and try and do it, but I think it yields a much more valid and a much more specific budget that is very defensible. Very defensible. I mean, if it turns out that it's more than this year's budget, or if it's less than this year's budget, whatever it is, I think it's highly defensible because you have all those line items and all of that analysis that goes into it.
One thing I like for this year, and I think this is the right approach, and it was in the CIP. most of the DPW plow trucks are gonna be fairly new, right? We have the new truck coming October, September. The one, we get the $255,000 state clean diesel grant. That's being outfitted now. We have a 2014, couple 2022s, which is nice. The equipment's new, low hours, low mileage, so we don't have the maintenance costs. And Sharon and I, we spoke a few weeks ago. You know, I was looking at, the mechanic was working on the 2014 loader at the transfer station. It has 8,700 hours or something. And I said, you know, what's your opinion? When are we going to have to replace this? And he goes, at about 10,000 hours, you know, the major systems fail. We don't want to get caught into that loop where we have a money pit again, like we did with the old road grader.
Right.
And then it craps out, and then we're in a panic buy to get a new one. So I think, you know, if we better manage our equipment and things like that, right? You know,
No,
the
it's
newer
not.
equipment, one, it's more fuel efficient, it's, you know, and it's not breaking down, you know, in the middle of a storm.
Well, that's what we were hoping iWorks was going to do.
Yeah.
So I know
Mhm.
I know Dave Swift. Dave works on that. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave, that's
Dave is-
Dave's, yeah.
Getting as much input as he can from, you know, the operators and the hours and the fuel and the maintenance, all that kind of stuff, so that hopefully iWorks starts to, I don't want to say spit it out, but it'll give you a report that shows you where you are approaching critical mass on a piece of machinery, that the cost benefit analysis of maintaining it and keeping it moving forward versus selling it now and get the residual value out of it to apply to the next
That's
piece
the
of
key
machinery.
is, you know, don't, that was the big lesson with the old, you know, 1980, 1990 road grader we had.
86.
But, you know,
whatever
we
it was.
put so much money into a old worn out machine, and that money could have paid for a newer machine before we were stuck, right? Because
Yes, it failed.
then after it caught on fire, then, you know, we had put another $50,000 into a machine that was probably worth $10,000 or whatever.
No, didn't we get 32 for it?
We did get 32
We
for
got
a trade.
32
We
for
did,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
after we put
I thought we did
after we put
pretty
about
good.
$75,000 into it.
Well, we
We-
put 75 in to keep it working. so
Yeah,
we could-
but no, but let's not get in that hole again. You know what I mean?
right.
And
Can I?
Yeah.
no,
Oh,
that's
I
it.
just-
I'm just kind of.
When Joe
I'm
finishes.
pretty. That's it for me then. That's just. I wanted to kind of tell you what we were working on. That we are scrubbing contracts and looking at cost savings on the budgets.
My question, because we brought up zero-based budgeting, and we brought it up with the school. I didn't get a feeling that it was well received. I mean, I know it's a lot of work, admittedly.
I think it is. I think it's a lot of work. I think it's
I-
difficult.
Yeah.
I think in the first year with a new superintendent, it might prove to be even more difficult.
I know, but our business person
Right,
has
business
been-
person, right.
Right, and she's
Um,
the one, well, they're the
But I
ones
think
that do
I
it.
think we're going to look at the same thing and break everything down.
Yeah,
You know, it may not be broken down to we don't have a budget.
correct.
We're starting at
Yeah.
zero and building up, but I think breaking it down
Mhm.
and really looking at what
What the needs are. What is it gonna
The
cost us?
Requirements driven
Right.
Correct.
budgeting.
You know, and the requirement stuff is the easy stuff. You know, if we have a contract with middle and high school that's $3 million,
Right.
we're starting
You
there.
know.
It's $3 million. It's in.
Exactly,
You know, you look at your waste management, or
right,
those things that we are required to have some.
right.
Right.
But then we start
Basically.
looking at everything else that we can.
'Cause, again, I hate to harp on the numbers, because the budget, we had our numbers of 108, now our numbers are down significantly. So, you know, to say, okay, well, we did that last year, but we have
Right.
a significant drop in enrollment, so.
Yeah.
And there are only so many places you can save money in the school budget. I mean, there's just so many.
There's very few places to save.
Right, right.
Well,
But-
unfortunately, one of the biggest places is personnel.
Right.
That is the biggest.
So
That's-
starting with a personnel requirements sheet. I mean, I know last year you
Right.
did it and said this is what this is what we need, this is what we have, this is what we're dropping here, we're adding
Right.
here, we're doing this, we're doing that. I think that goes a long way to explaining, okay, now that we've done that, overall we have,
Mhm.
I'm gonna make up a number, 12 teachers.
Right.
And, you know, we have to then budget for those 12 teachers, but that requirement, that sheet that shows us what the requirement for
Justification.
teachers.
Justification, what are the number of personnel to educate 88 kids or what, not, you know, this is what we had last year. Because, and again, I'm gonna keep an open mind when you talk about reclassification. And so I understand that but that will add an employee to what you currently have. But we've dropped a fifth of our population. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I don't see
It'll
adding.
add, right, it'll add an employee,
And if it,
but decrease a contracted service.
right.
So
And
it
if-
goes
if
from
it-
one place to another.
Right.
But justificationally, yes, the need,
Right.
the status of that position needs to be justifiable to the
Right.
service in which it's provided. And does that service,
Right.
is that service needed X, Y,
Right.
or Z number of
Right.
hours?
Number of hours, the 9.
Yep.
you
Does
know,
it
the
become
whole
a
9
full-time
yards.
equivalent? Is it is it a half, depending on the
Right now, it's
services?
looking at 0.8.
Right, okay. So again, I think the sheet that was done last year goes a long way to help explain,
Mhm.
and if there's the explanations on the bottom of it as to what those numbers are based on, you know, the student population, the class sizes, the different numbers of classes
Needs.
and
Yep.
needs and those kinds of things. I think that helps significantly for not just us, but I think the general taxpayer to understand, why do I need 12 teachers? I have 88 kids, why do I need 12 teachers?
Right.
Whatever it is, I'm making
Right.
numbers
Yep.
up, so, but yeah.
So again, I mean, it was just that zero-based budget. I just got the feeling it wasn't.
I think the term zero-based budget is more of different.
It's an accounting
It's-
term, I can't
Right,
change.
it's
it.
Yeah.
more of a start it, wipe your slate clean. Now let's
Now
rebuild.
build your budget.
Let's rebuild your wall.
Right.
We have a wall that's built. We just need to be able to manage within that. So the terminology, I think, is more of the part of it. Not
It's
Okay.
more of a
Not-
budget scrub.
not the
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
The
Right.
terminology of it is more of the
Not the message.
not the message that
Right.
Right.
is
Yeah.
received.
Okay.
So I can change my language to
Please
requirements based.
start speaking
Yeah.
in a foreign language, and we can just let it go over our heads.
Right.
Za wasze zdrowie.
Motion. That was a motion to adjourn,
Yeah,
right?
right. Not in Russian, it wasn't. Okay, what else? I would like to see, obviously, a decrease from the current budget. Even I recognize that we're in a default budget. I recognize that there are issues, but I think for the purposes of moving forward, if you're able to distinguish between what here's what the default budget was, here's what we missed, and it's predominantly the kindergarten, isn't it?
Preschool.
Preschool, sorry, preschool. But if we kept the budget that we have, the default budget from this year, we brought it down. Adding the preschool brings it above the default budget, but that's because we're adding the preschool back in. That wasn't added because it was voted down.
There was
last
discussion last night about, at the joint board level, about us still trying to consume the preschool.
year. Right.
And the Madison board's gonna talk about whether we put it in the budget or we put it as a separate article.
Warrant
And I
article.
said, I don't think the budget failed last year because of the preschool being in there.
No.
So,
not
and
just
there was
because.
conversation about putting the preschool as a separate article. By doing that, we can also explain it more as an individual piece.
Yes.
So my recommendation will be to the board, if taking on the preschool, would be to put it as a separate article. And then, I think the other thing we need to look at too is when we look at the overall budget, is breaking it down to at least taking that middle and high school part out.
Well, I'm not necessarily taking it out, but I think separating it
But
and
saying,
showing it
here,
in a
here's
separate
my
line.
increase here, here's my increase or decrease here.
Right, and here's what it costs to actually run that, I'm gonna point out the window, that facility, that
Right.
school
Operation
with
of
the
the
number of
plant.
children, right?
Yep.
But here's the total cost, because we have this tuition agreement that we have to abide by, obviously, otherwise our
Right.
middle school and high schoolers don't get educated.
Transportation, it's,
Yeah.
you know, you can kind of take that number and divide it in half. You know, half it goes to
Middle
7 to
school and
12,
high school, and the other
half
half
it's
is,
for K6.
right. And maybe talk to Eldridge and see if they can give you
We're
a-
done with Eldridge.
I mean,
First.
First
first student.
First student.
See if they can give you a, well, it's like 52% or whatever, so.
I would venture to guess that the high school and middle school is more than the elementary school
I would,
because
You
there's
have
more
more
travel, there's
students.
more mileage.
There's more
And more
mileage
mileage,
to go
yeah.
to Conway.
That's
Right,
true.
so-
That's a
so
More
pretty long
mileage.
drive.
Now
Yeah.
they don't have field trips like we do at the elementary school, so there's some of that stuff that
Yeah, but I think it's worthy of delineating and having all of that information at hand so that as we're talking about these pieces and why necessarily it's important to, well, you know, understand the transportation for this school is really only half of it. The other half is those students who are going to middle school and high school. So running this school and maintaining Madison Elementary really only costs this much.
Yep.
So, I think it's important to have those types of facts and figures and analysis done. So, yeah. But I do think it's important to see what, and again, you're gonna have to start with those things that are kind of written in stone with regard to tuition agreements, negotiated agreements, the healthcare costs. Those are things we don't really have much control over, at
not
least in the current
not
year.
in the
not
current
this
year.
year,
Correct.
right.
As we go forward, yes, there can be emphasis on them, but in this current year, when you're developing a budget for 27, 28, then your hands aren't necessarily tied, but they're seriously restricted in some areas. And
Right. The number of staff could change,
right.
but the amount
The
that
type
we
of
pay them would not,
compensation
because
levels.
that's in the
In the
and the
agreement.
insurance apportionments couldn't change
Right,
for the collective bargaining agreement.
right.
So yeah, so there are those things that we are tied to, and that to be fair, the town is tied to.
Right.
Because it was voted as a separate warrant article to approve that agreement a year and a half, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So-
And I think it's important then to separate that when we're presenting the budget,
Right.
to say these are the things that have all been pre-negotiated and pre-contracted that we have no opportunity to change this year.
Right,
We
and
are-
previously approved. I
Right,
mean,
and
I
have
think
been
that's-
previously approved by town. This is what we can control. And if I take this year's budget and compare those numbers, those pieces, to show where that budget reduction has happened,
Right.
then I think it goes a lot farther to, I don't want to say winning the taxpayer over, but it kind of is. It's
Educating.
making them understand right,
Educating.
that we are decreasing the budget, we are
Mhm.
working on that, but these things over here continue, not necessarily to override them, but continue to play an important part because they have escalation clauses already built into them.
Right.
They're done, that we can't touch.
Yeah.
And then you add healthcare on top of that,
Mm.
and you're stuck with this finite amount. Here's what can actually be worked with, and when in working with it, we reduced it from in the default budget from 1.6 million to 1.5 million or 1.4 million or 1.2 million or 900,000, whatever it is,
Yep.
whatever that ability is. I think that goes a long way to helping the taxpayer understand. And if you want them to vote for your budget, get them to understand it and hopefully vote for the budget. But then that means that the school board has to do that due diligence and they have to work real hard on those other pieces. Real hard. What else?
So are we, it'll be the third year of the contract that we're budgeting for? If we're in year
We're in
2,
year 2. It'll be 27, 28 is
We're budget, right.
Yeah.
School's starting up in year
26,
2.
27.
So we're budgeting for
year
year
27, 28,
which is
which will be the last year of
year.
the collective.
Collective.
So,
Okay.
so this budget that we're going to do is 27, 28. And that will be the last year of the
Of
current
that.
collective bargaining agreement. Then our negotiating team will start reaching out probably
This year
late spring,
coming, yeah.
and they start negotiating
Mm.
to have a warrant article for the
So
future,
March of 28.
for the
28,
28, 29,
And
and that's where the warrant article will sit for whether it's 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever years it is, and all those numbers will be listed with it, based on the current staff at the time.
One number we're gonna have to watch this year, both for the town and the school, I just looked up, Sharon reminded me, projected healthcare costs for 2027. Projected to jump between 9.5 and 15% in 2027. Small group plans, which we're members of, face a median proposed increase of about 14%.
Wow.
So that's, we won't know, I guess the rates really don't come out till, remember
November.
last year was like mid-October, Sharon,
Right.
See,
Yeah,
we get
when we-
mid-October.
before
That's
we
when
finally knew.
we get hit
Yeah,
just before. So our biggest hit, we can do everything we want.
You can
September, October,
estimate,
Yeah.
into November, we get hit just before our December meeting with the Conway numbers, with the health insurance
health
numbers.
insurance numbers.
And it's like we've come in years that we were down a couple $100,000, and then it's up
All of a
half a
sudden-
million.
Because the
And it's
tuition
like-
agreement and the
and-
healthcare.
and-
Health insurance
And
goes
it's
up
out of our control.
15%.
But
Yeah.
so then
Yeah.
being able to capture that and saying,
Mhm.
here's what happened with those things that we can't control, and then we stayed the same and we reduced down here with all the stuff we can control. The stuff that we can't, it increased that portion of the budget by 14% for healthcare kind of
Right.
deal. Or, you know,
The town, we
going
actually did pretty
forward.
good this year. Our rate didn't go up much because we had, remember we transitioned to that
Yes.
lower cost plan?
yes.
But I think if you see another cost increase,
If we see another increase like we have, I don't know what.
you're gonna be up
Well,
over $900,000 just for health insurance.
Part of that whole thing, because you can't do anything because it's year 3,
Mhm.
is make it clear, but this is what we're going to do. This is what we're moving towards. You know, maybe you can't give them a specific plan, but at least say, we know that the taxpayers.
Something has to change.
Exactly.
That's the
So
thing.
I think if
It's
you can,
unsustainable.
you know, say, okay, and then you got to
if,
do it.
if you want the
know.
Cadillac plan, still fine. We're okay with that, but it's a 50-50 split.
But you're gonna
Correct.
or it's a
You're gonna
you know,
have
if you
to,
want, you know,
Yeah.
So just
gonna have to
you know,
shoulder a
give
bit
them
more of the burden.
something to
Yeah.
say, we are looking at it, we understand that this is not, you know, and so, yeah, okay, we might have to suck it up for another year, but this is our plan going forward, and we'll, you know, we know it's a concern.
Yep.
Make it real clear, we are doing something about it,
Even.
and then
you
do
know,
it.
and then right, and then
Right.
do it.
Even the cost just to heat the school, you know, the oil, propane, whatever you're burning is, I mean, that's,
$4.38 a gallon.
yeah, I mean, look at, it used to be $2.50 or something, I mean.
I remember when it was 89 cents.
Oh, I know,
Me
but,
too.
no, just a few years ago, or before
Right,
the
I mean,
war, it wasn't that expensive.
$1.39 is what we were looking at a few years ago.
So, I mean, this building too, I mean, what are we gonna do, keep the thermostat on 58 or 60? We're gonna
Wear a
have to-
sweater,
It's too
babe.
cold.
Wear a
Tell
sweater,
my
babe, I know.
Wear a sweater.
Wear a
I mean,
sweater.
we're
No,
lucky.
I
We have.
So
It's water.
the
Yeah.
benefit that we have is, I think Heather had said that even locking in at this number, we may not be over our budget line. We did last year when we were budgeting was the first year with the new propane system in the gym.
Oh, right.
So I think we had over budgeted a little bit, and we talked
Overestimated
about
the
that.
number of gallons you
Just
were gonna
because
use.
we hadn't been
Didn't
through a
know.
winter yet, so we didn't know.
Right.
So I think that helped us for that.
Right.
But it's still going to be. So I think what she said is, she just said it tonight. I think she said she locked in for 80% of the year, but not the whole year, thinking that sometimes they start to drop.
Drop.
So then we can lock the rest.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of gallons that we do purchase between the 3 districts, they allowed us an option of that.
No, but again, those costs, like the health insurance, or you can't control, you know, the energy costs, right? And it's a world market, so. But that's gonna hit us this year.
In the school.
We'll just put fireplaces in every classroom.
And sweaters.
Sweaters,
Sweaters and sweatshirts.
Mom.
Hey, I went to school in the 60s and 70s, and
Is that college?
oh,
you
Jim, you're on TV.
And I remember because of the fuel shortages in the
Oh, yeah.
70s of wearing sweaters to school in the winter.
I just remember the windows were horrible,
The windows
and
were
they were,
horrible.
they'd shake when the wind blew. So
Yeah.
Didn't want to
Yeah.
sit next
Cold.
to it.
right,
Right. So anyway,
All right.
you know,
Now
not that I'm
let's move on.
advocating
no,
turning the temperature down or anything,
but even
but
even 1 or 2
Degrees
degrees
can
makes
make a
a
big
huge
difference.
difference.
Yeah.
we do it at our house.
Mhm.
we do it
Well,
in
then
my
you have
house.
to start closing rooms. We
Mhm.
close. We
Close them
rooms.
off. Yeah,
Oh.
close rooms and shut the vents
We can
off.
Right.
close off. We can
69
close
in
off
here.
so much, but the
Right.
last thing you want is a frozen pipe.
Oh,
No, I agree.
Right.
You know, you can
Okay,
take
we,
it
we
All
down.
right.
digress.
We
Back to
digress.
budget
Back
objectives.
to budget.
Sorry, Sharon. I didn't mean to make that joke.
Yes, you did.
Okay, I did.
And it's
But
okay.
I'm sorry for
It's
it.
joke taken. It's a joke. Anything else from the budget objective? At some point, I know you're looking for hard numbers from us. I'm going to recommend. Well,
Good. I would love it, but
yeah, I'm going to recommend that there be a look at that piece of the budget that you can control, right? Because I recognize that I'm not looking at the overall budget decrease because you can't control those negotiated agreements. But I believe that for those lines that you can control, that there should be a 5% decrease. The same goes for the town. For those lines that the town can control with regard to, I mean, healthcare is probably one that we can't necessarily control. There isn't much else. There are salaries and salaries and healthcare and
I'm
benefits.
just hoping
those
that-
benefits.
Our plan, again, we did really well in 2026. I think it only went up like 3% or something. I can't remember the exact number. You know, we didn't get a 15% increase in our health insurance.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I also know that we are still in that piece of the discussion where we went from 7% to 8%, supposed to go from 8% to 10%. I don't believe that we ever went to the 10%.
I
So
thought we were at 10% right now. I can't remember.
I don't know. And if
I've
that's
lost
the
track,
case,
yeah.
then looking at 11 or 12% because it's still under the 14%. The school teachers are paying 12%.
12, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure
We should
where
be
we're
on
at.
par with them.
I haven't focused on that at all. Been too busy with the
Yeah,
road
no, I
stuff
bet.
and
I bet.
everything. Yeah.
But looking at that, the
Yeah.
cost share of the healthcare, and then the
Yeah, that was the
Then
first
that's the
I looked
5%.
at. I'm like, what do they project the 2027 health cost to be? And as I just looked it up a few minutes ago.
it's better than 19 and a half.
No,
Yeah.
that's yeah. No, but I think we're on that track where health insurance costs, you know, just overall health costs, say the inflation rate this year is, it looks like about 3.5, maybe 4%. I mean, you're talking almost 4 times the inflation rate.
right.
3 to 4 times.
Unsustainable.
It's unsustainable.
The health industry will crash.
Oh yeah,
It'll
it
collapse.
has, you know, yeah, we can't
And it's
afford
probably
it.
actually starting to, which is why those costs are going up.
Yeah.
But the old system of how we deliver healthcare and how it gets paid for is gonna crash. There are a lot more and again we digress, but there are a
I
lot
was
more
gonna
providers
suggest
who are
that.
just not
Point of order.
accepting insurance anymore. So, okay.
All right.
The fun part. Budget drawdown. EFT balances and revenues, etc. Let's take the easy part first, if you don't mind. Let's look at the EFTs. The one thing, just Joe, for your information, I suppose I could write this down. It was in the you have it online.
Oh,
It was in the
okay.
stuff you didn't print from Lucia.
Oh, okay.
It's
I
one of the
don't.
tabs in the spreadsheet. There was-
Yeah, that's
one of the
it's
tabs
not
in the
in it's
spreadsheet.
not in my packet
Right.
that I put together before the meeting.
It was a tab in the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
There are like three funds listed at the bottom: the police cruiser, road remediation, and veterans monument fund. It doesn't say, because I believe one of them is a CRF and not a ETF. We talked about this last night at the CIP meeting. I believe the road remediation might be the CRF,
I think it is a CRF because
right? Which then says you have to go to town meeting to
Yes.
get that money.
and
out
that
of
came
it.
up. We were looking to use that $100,000.
Right.
That was remember we did that. It was approved last town meeting or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
We said let's set up a fund for the future road repairs.
So,
But the
is-
selectmen do not have
They do not
the
have the authority to
expend.
expend.
That was my question.
It
Correct.
has to go to the
It's
town
town. The
meeting.
legislature has the authority to
Yes.
expend, and that's
So,
the town.
and that's, we were hoping to use that 100K towards, you know, the 500K
Sure.
in road repairs.
Right.
But we're gonna have to have a plan going into the town meeting.
Yes.
That 100K gives us, that will,
Well,
you know,
Yeah,
If the taxpayers approve.
different subject for
Yeah.
you, but I think one of the things we talked about last night at the CIP, and this will come up in the update, is having a special town meeting, and you can only have one, so addressing that CRF during that town meeting is along with the use of unexpended fund balance. So you have to address both of them. So you would need a warrant article to go before that special town
yeah,
meeting
we have DRA approval
to
to
do that.
overspend our budget
Right.
because of their June
Mhm.
10, 11th emergency. I'm the one, I drafted the letter for that. We don't have the exact number yet. We're gonna send that letter in pretty soon.
And did they give us?
I think
Did
Lucia.
they give us a number, or did they just give us?
No,
blanket-
we have to put a number in the request. The
Oh, I
written
thought you said
request.
they've already approved the request.
They to overspend our budget. Lucia got an email or
Yeah, but by how much? Did they give us an approval to
No.
overspend it by 5%,
No.
10%, 2%, $100, $1?
it's going to be the total cost of the emergency road repairs. So right now it's 583,000 or whatever it was. But we don't have the exact. You have to put the exact amount on there. And we spent 585K on the roads, but Lucia and I, we need to get that letter out soon.
Right. Okay. So anyway, going back to the ETF, I'll ask Lucia to update the spreadsheet to show that those are ETFs. And then the only question I had is, because I really need to spend a little time digging into some of these a little more, to make and compare it to town reports to make sure that these are all of them. Because this obviously does not show any of the old warrant article ETFs that were, like there's nowhere on here is the 18K.
No, yeah, but it should still show
It's-
the 2023 or whatever year it was that there's a balance of $18,000 in there. Yeah,
It doesn't. I
That
don't
was
see where it is.
That was the money left over from Town Line Road or
right.
whatever.
I
yeah.
I don't see where it
2024.
is, where it would be, where it is.
No, I'm not sure.
So number one, and then number two is the Veterans Monument Fund. It's showing an interest in July of $2,500, and
Nice
and-
fund.
Yeah, I know, right? But then that's the total in the fund. So as if there's nothing in there, but it shows a principal and interest in 2025 of 2,377, added 125 deposit, interest in July of 2533 for a total of 25.
I'm not sure where that
so,
number
yeah.
is coming from.
I don't
yeah.
know where that.
Yeah.
It's obviously a mistake. It's obviously there may be no interest in July because there's a couple of them that,
Is there still
that don't have it.
is there still unused money in the Veterans
Yes.
Fund?
Well, there's probably probably $2,500 in there.
That's to pay for
It pays for the
engraving the
names,
names and,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that.
Well, technically, the budget line is supposed to pay for that, but my stance on the budget line was, can we please create a Veterans Monument Fund because it gets more and more expensive every year, and if there's a year where we have to add 7 names, the $500 that we budget in the
it's
the
not going
Veterans
to cover
is never going to cover.
engraving or cutting
Right,
the
so
stone.
let's-
Yeah.
Is there a way to take the money when we don't expend it out of that line item and allocate it into this Veterans Monument Fund? But I don't think that there is because I think it just ends up in the unexpended fund balance. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But according to this, there may be $2,500 in there. So yeah, and I need to ask her for totals on this. Like, what do we have all total down here?
We did have, I think, 54K sitting in the transfer station fund.
55.6. Yeah.
55K.
Yep.
I know that John Aruda came to the last Board of Selectmen meeting. Yeah, you were there, and he said, they were looking like they needed a roll-off container and fixing one of them, and some improvements out there.
Well, we got to go back and look at the language and see what.
Yeah,
it
I'm
can
not
be
sure
used for.
exactly what we could, if we can use it
Yeah.
for those, things
Established
John
in
was
2020,
asking
right.
for. Yeah.
Plus, we were talking about cameras and stuff. So
Yeah, but that we do have 55K sitting in the transfer station,
so
and just when the equipment breaks down, the compactors break down, and they had to put new hydraulic lines and stuff on them. And I'm not sure what line item that actually is charged to.
right. There's still 44,000 in the STR legal defense. So should those issues still continue?
They're still in court system. They're still in litigation,
STRs?
aren't they? Aren't they waiting for the New Hampshire Supreme Court to make a ruling or something?
I don't know. The ones that I thought were the cell towers. I thought those are.
Was
still-
that maybe? I'm probably confused.
cell towers?
I thought they were still. I know that there's litigation on either the STRs or cell towers.
All right. So anyway, that's the ETFs. I'll send Lucia a list of questions and updates and corrections, unless anybody else has any.
I don't
If you
think I
do,
got it.
I was gonna say, well, it's in that email it's in that file. It's in in that file that's attached to the email that I've forwarded from Lucia with the. This is how I'm gonna operate with the guidelines and stuff.
Is it in here?
I sent it either yesterday or the day before.
Oh, I have is this.
But yeah, that's what it is. It's in there. Click on that.
Okay. And I have that.
Scroll down the bottom.
Oh, is it in here?
See?
Oh, it's in here.
ETFs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I missed the workbooks.
That's okay.
Missed the workbooks.
I do that all the time.
Okay.
Okay. Revenue. Joe, I have a question. When I looked at the revenue sheets, so right now it looks like that's also one of those things that's in
Yep, got it.
there.
Mhm.
Okay. It says income from departments, and it says selectmen revenues miscellaneous, $6,734. Any idea what you guys are getting money for?
No.
No. Okay. The one underneath it, selectmen's revenue copies. I'm thinking is when town hall makes copies for people who ask for stuff out of files,
when
and
they charge so
them
much
for
a
it.
page.
Yeah, then I think that just goes into selectmen's revenue. But
One-
I don't
one,
know. Selectmen's revenue is miscellaneous
I'm not sure.
for $6,700. I mean, it's not 150. It's not 24. It's a significant amount of money.
One of the things we're looking at for revenue, Lucia pulled it together with Mike Brooks. I believe there's 10 or 12 properties that the town took possession of for defaulting on tax payments.
Taxes.
Some of them go back 10, 15 years.
Right.
We're sitting on property that's not on the tax rolls. Town of Madison owns lot XYZ in Idlewild.
That you could sell.
We are.
You're
We're-
gonna sell,
we're-
right.
we're-
You
we
signed
started that
paperwork at the
process
last
the last
meeting.
selectman meeting.
Yeah.
Sharon was there.
I think there was 1 or 2 properties that you've started that process on.
We haven't done this in ages. No, this came
Over a
up, and
decade.
we're looking going. We got $60,000+ there in past due fees and taxes.
Mm-hmm.
When you sell a property, say a lot is people seal bid, right? We'll take sealed
Sure.
bids. If they owe $4,000,
In back taxes.
interest, and fees, and it sells for 15, we don't keep the 15, right? We
We can only keep
take the
the
tax money, whatever is owed,
well plus fees for-
admin,
yeah,
like
admin
selling
stuff.
costs, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So the property owner of the estate, depending on if the person's still alive, would get the balance.
Oh, they would.
So, but we have an opportunity here for 10 or 12 properties to recover a significant amount of past due
Past
money.
taxes, right?
So that's one of our approaches as well to to get these off the books, and I like that approach because we sell these lots or these old homes and they get torn down, and somebody comes in, they build a $300,000 house that's back
Just
on
increase the tax
it's
levy.
back on the
On
Madison
rolls,
tax rolls.
Sure. Yeah.
And we're looking
At a
going
higher rate.
at a higher rate.
Yeah,
Right.
And
absolutely.
it's like, why have we been sitting on these properties for 10+ years?
Yeah.
Where
What was the answer to that question?
nobody even knew they were there. Mike pulled it up, and Lucia, we went over at the board of
I'm sorry,
selectmen.
how did we know they were not there? How did we not know they were there?
we got a
Just
list
weren't paying
together
attention.
and
Somebody wasn't paying attention.
so Lucia showed me
think
the
the town
list
clerk
and I'm
would
like,
Policy.
we need, why don't we, we need to sell these off, right?
Right.
The town of Madison
Auction
owns
them.
these
Yeah, auction
properties.
them.
And I know there was one property on Boulder Road that another party wanted to buy. I think that's where we started the research. This was 3-4 months ago. So that was the one we
That's
brought
what
up.
spurred the whole
The whole
process,
thing at the
yeah.
Board of Selectmen meeting, and we're gonna start with that one property,
Right.
that,
For
there's a
sealed
party that's interested in buying
Mhm,
that
yeah,
property.
Sure.
So we'll take, bids on it, seal bids.
Yeah.
And again, we'll recover the past taxes due plus, the town doesn't own untaxable property anymore. So it's a
It'll start
win-win.
generating something.
Yeah,
Right.
so we're working on that.
That's
That's why I brought it up under the revenue,
Mhm.
stream.
Right.
That would be probably related to policy that says any tax property that is 3 years delinquent or
default.
5 years
Mhm.
delinquent can be assumed and auctioned by the town.
Right.
I mean, I think that's where something would come into play there to say, okay, now we've got a flag on one property. You're going to get maybe one every couple of years
Yeah.
rather than trying to get to 10.
Well, and I
No, this was built up again, like you say,
Right.
over time.
And I
Yeah.
get that
Compound.
that the town is more interested in working with the homeowner to
Oh, yeah.
help them get them to pay their taxes and not have to go through this process. We'd rather see the homeowner have their own property, and then I would rather, as a homeowner, then sell my property if I really can't afford to keep it, and then pay the back taxes off of the revenue that I generate from doing it.
I can't remember exactly, but a lot of these were empty lots for like in Idlewice and that type of thing.
Abandoned property.
Yeah, and either, it's an estate or, the person passed or something. So, but, I'm looking going, why? Why is this dated like,
Yeah.
2014? It
Right.
hasn't been on the
Two
tax rolls.
generations,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, but we are trying to clean that up, and
That's good.
we're trying. We're getting there.
All right. That's good. Anybody have any other questions about revenue? So the total revenue, just so you're all aware, comes out to $634,730.82 as of the moment. I do have questions about the rec program. It looks like, according to this report, it's only generated $3,050 in revenue.
No, because the summer camp fees, they had 100 kids at $700 or something.
Summer camp, 8
Right.
weeks,
Well,
$1,050.
they've got 700, but they only have it times many kids.
No, because the summer program costs $700 per child.
This
Oh,
says
something.
rec
700
program,
per-
summer
Per one
camp,
kid?
8
Yeah,
weeks.
For
Yeah,
8
'cause it's
weeks, yeah, it's all
$100
8
a
weeks, the whole summer.
$80 a week.
Yeah.
It's showing revenue of $1,050.
I don't know. Yeah, I can't. I don't know the answer to that.
Are they taking salaries out of it?
No,
Is
this is
that-
revenue. This
Well,
is a
I'm
revenue
just
report.
wondering if they're doing
They better,
revenue.
no, this
Should
is
be
a
all
revenue
revenue.
report. It
No,
should
but
be
there's
all-
other fees,
should
like
be-
the field trip fees, right?
Mhm.
They pay to go to the water
Yeah.
park or whatever.
That
Yeah.
was $355.
No, that's not even.
Joe,
Oh,
I'm
I
telling you
know.
what's in the report. Look
I
at
don't
the
know.
report.
Yeah. No, obviously
Then-
we have some errors still in QuickBooks or
Yeah,
whatever. So
and then
I'm not making light
sports
of it,
programs, non-residents, $245. So
yeah.
this seems to me that this is an area that's not current and not
we
up to
haven't
date
got
and hasn't been.
He's already said that.
yeah
So-
QuickBooks. We haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
But it's been a slow process.
So
It
you'll
really
make
is.
a note to
Yes,
Lucia.
and-
Okay.
No, because the rec program does really well. Heather did a great job this year, but yeah, they're bringing in more than $700
Yeah, no,
every year.
or 3,000.
For $3,000.
So, yeah, I would
Yeah.
like to see how much to see what the cost benefit analysis
Yeah.
of the program is. So,
No, I agree, but
okay, and then like the police had a miscellaneous revenue of $250.
that was that speeding ticket.
Is that a single? That's what I said. Is that speeding tickets? Is this
I don't think
tickets?
speeding
So-
tickets
or-
count towards the town.
No,
The
no.
only thing that I think
Is that my
counts towards the
speeding
town is
ticket?
DWI. For whatever reason,
No,
I heard that
that
one.
was-
Oh,
isn't
maybe
me,
the
that.
violation of parking at the foot
Oh,
of the
that
maybe
lake.
might
the
be.
foot of the lake
It
or
might be
something.
foot of the
The
lake.
beach parking or the
Yeah.
boat
Yeah.
launches or no boat stickers or something.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, but like the like I said, the selectmen's miscellaneous revenue of
I don't know.
$6,000, $6,700.
Maybe that could be from parking or
Well-
boat launch fees or something?
No, boat launch fees are $3,700.
Oh,
Those are all
Dog
delineated.
licenses?
Dog licenses
Did
are all
any of the selectmen
delineated.
turn their stipend back to the board of selectmen?
No, I don't think so. Why? I don't think
Well,
so.
that would be a place where that would happen.
Yeah, I don't know what that number is. for.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll ask Lucia
Mhm.
what that number is. All right. And then the budget, the summary drawdown. So there are a number of areas that I have a little bit of concern over. One of them is the salaries overtime hourly. We're at 93%.
Yes.
We haven't even hit winter yet.
No, and that's the emergency road repairs.
No, I get
Yeah,
why
yeah.
it's at that. I just don't know if anybody's talking about a plan to manage that.
One thing that's saving us there, Sharon, is we're down a full-time DPW employee.
Right.
So, right, we
Yeah, but then to me that eats more. That
it does, but
that's your salaries are down, but now your overtime is up because you have less people who have to do the same amount of work. So it takes a single individual longer. And
Right, so you're 57.78% salaries full-time hourly.
right,
Yeah,
you're at 92% of your overtime,
yeah, we're
which
under
overtime
running
costs us.
Yeah. No,
at time and a half.
No, I agree.
So, yeah.
But we're at 55.65% on the DPW administration. So we're under running just a little bit.
And your seasonal is down, is
Yeah, we-
below the 6, and that'll end pretty much, right?
Yeah, one of the seasonal guys,
Well, it'll ramp
He-
back
he
up in the
moved.
winter for plowing.
Do they, well, that's what, do you have winter seasonal as well, Joe?
yeah, I think they bring in part-timers as needed.
to just do some to help with to do plowing
No,
for the winters.
and to Mike Brooks's credit, like all these overtime hours, anything storm related, he
Oh, yeah.
tracks on the spreadsheet
Right,
for FEMA.
and it
Yeah.
shows
So
on the
if
back
we-
here
Yeah,
what that is,
Yeah.
you know, and actually who it.
Mike
who
has
went
it down to the, he has it down to the penny.
It was
Um,
$13,000. The event overtime is 3,446. That was as of this. The total overtime is 13,000.
But I think, as we talked earlier, Sharon, about not getting into the weeds on where they're at, I'm looking at
Yeah.
total administration of DPW
Yeah,
right.
is at 55.65,
Yeah.
and we're at 66% of the
Right.
year.
Yeah.
so,
No, we're under
He's
running
working
just a
on
little
it.
bit. Again,
Yes, but it's also important to understand from a line item so that when these line items come in and they have to budget for overtime, that like they're taking into account. Yes, we had a special event, but that was only 3,000 of the $13,000. There's still 10,000 in overtime that was for something else.
plowing.
Hey
sanding.
DPW, you need to take a look at that and see what that is, and let that bear on your budgeting for overtime.
We got a
come-
pretty
going
rough
forward.
winter from January on.
Right.
yeah.
We had those
I-
back-to-back storms.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But
Let's
we're
hope we
still-
have a
but we're
mild
s-
winter
Oh.
But we're
going
still in
through
check
December.
through the year where we need to be
Yeah,
in
we're
the
not-
total line for DPW.
Yes, but
We're
they could
underrunning just a
overspend that
little.
overtime easily.
The overtime they could, but it appears that they're going to underspend somewhere
Yeah.
else
Yeah.
Yeah.
to make that
Mhm.
total.
So anyway, the other area that concerned me a little bit was the election printing, is because we have some elections coming up.
September 8th is the
September and
primary,
November,
and
right?
November
Yeah.
3rd
Right.
is the
But-
state federal elections.
But
So-
it's not a lot of dollars.
No,
I
it's
mean, it's
not.
over, but it's not a lot of dollars. So to me,
Where is that?
They're at 94%. They're not over.
Oh,
they're,
right.
they're under,
Yeah.
but they're barely under.
Right.
We could
but
go
we're
significantly.
talking $600.
Right, but we could go significantly over that 650. They could go to $1,000 or
Well,
whatever
it could,
because
but it's for the whole budget. Is it that significant?
I think everything is significant when you start to overrun what you have budgeted for without figuring out where else is it going to come from, right? Okay, I'm not going to spend on. Apparently, I'm not spending on postage, so
Right.
which I don't understand how because
Yeah, I mean,
absentee
still
ballots.
But
Well, they haven't had
Line
any
item.
expenses yet because we haven't
We had
mailed in the
March.
ballots.
Yeah.
We had March.
Well, that's right, the town election.
How the hell
That's
did we
right.
not spend anything on absentee
I
ballots?
don't know.
Right?
We did get absentee ballots. I
Right.
remember,
So
yeah.
I don't know where that postage comes from.
I don't know.
Obviously, the big ones are things like under emergency management, and I understand the fuel, where we've spent $8,973, but we only budgeted $1. I want to go back and I want to reiterate this, and I think we have to stress this again. In working through this budget, other departments are able to take last year's and the last 4 or 5 years worth of fuel costs and come up with some sort of an average and some sort of an estimate based on usage and predictions in order to put a number other than 1 in there. 1 is not accurately reflect what we're going to spend. Now,
Which
according
building
to
are
our
you looking
budget,
at?
I'm sorry, I'm under emergency
Emergency
management fuel,
right under election.
Got it. Thank you.
right?
$8,900.
$8,900.
Yeah, they're running.
Yeah.
We burned a lot of diesel.
No, I get it. I understand that, and I understand
But
why.
what is
Why
that?
is
But
it
what
budgeted
is
that-
$1?
what is
Why was
that
it
for?
I'm not
budgeted
sure.
$1?
Yeah, I'm not
That
sure.
was probably the $8,900 in fuel that Mike Brooks put in the emergency vehicles to respond to the event. 'Cause
That's what
was
it is.
for an
tracking.
emergency, right?
Right. Not the standard use.
No,
No.
not
No,
the
this
not
was the
use of
event.
DPW.
This was
Right.
The
this
event,
was the fuel cost for the emergency,
yeah,
right.
for the floods.
the floods.
And so it's hard. I think.
I
think
know
to
it's
say
hard.
It's hard to put a number there.
But you have to. You can't just budget $1. It throws everything way the hell off. All the other departments are able to do it. Take a look back. We now have 2 events that you can take a look at, and you can
Average 'em.
create some sort of
Average
a,
'em.
or
Or
some sort of a
50%.
metric, right? To be able to create and say, okay, I had 2 events in 23. I have 1 event in 26, and if this was a catastrophic one now, and the fuel costs are exorbitant. If I balance that, play with the number and come up with a number.
So rather than do that, do you not suggest taking those numbers year after year after year and saying, okay, it was $80,000 here, $100,000 here. Do you put a expendable trust fund
Like a
Aside,
contingency fund. or
that is
something.
for emergency management, so that you put $100,000 in that fund, you leave it there, and then year
Somebody
after
bring
year
me
after
the-
year, you pull from that.
Bring me the pros and cons of doing it both ways, and see what shakes out during the budget discussions as to whether or not it goes into this. Because the problem is, you're still going to have to spend it out of the budget. It gets reimbursed from the ETF, so it's still going to throw your budget off.
Yeah.
It gets
Right, but
spent out of
it
the
counts
budget.
as extra revenues. It would count as extra revenues against the budget line.
Against the budget, but it's not. But from an expense standpoint, a drawdown standpoint, and your budget summary standpoint, it's not gonna show up.
Right,
It's
but
just
it
gonna
would
show
show
up
up
as an
in
expense.
your
It'll show up in your-
revenues. So your revenues would be 120% rather
It
than
won't show up as in your revenues because it's coming out of an
It's an
ETF.
expense. It's an expense.
right an expense.
It's
but-
a
but
basically a
the
reimbursable
revenue
expense.
is
It
a
just goes from
reimbursement to
it just goes from but it just goes from one account to another without really any.
I understand what you're saying.
You know, I
So-
think, follow up
Anyway.
on Jim, I think it would be
Mhm.
prudent, that's something we need to
Mhm.
discuss for 2027 budget, you know, setting up an ETF, whatever contingency fund.
For emergency management.
Emergencies,
Emergencies,
management,
because
yeah.
what we're seeing now, we look
But
at.
isn't that what our budget is for? Isn't that what the unexpended fund balance is for?
Yeah,
It's emergencies.
but we depleted a lot of it.
Well, we had a big emergency.
But should we, so we don't get these spikes, should we put so much a year
That's what I
in
think
and go,
it
hey,
could be.
you know, for planning, we gotta figure maybe every 3 or 4 years, we may get a storm like this. You know, look at the history from 23 on.
So I'm going to go back to
Yeah.
the comment that George Epstein made during all of this discussion of, as a citizen, he didn't do it as a moderator. He said,
No.
"I'd rather control my money than give you more of my money to sit in an account that does nothing until we need it."
Yeah, I
Right?
know.
It's
I,
my
I,
money.
understand
I
where
earned
he's,
it.
where he's coming.
You put it in the account, and then I lose control
Right,
over it because the
right.
selectmen then make the decision as to whether or not to spend it, not the taxpayer.
Yeah, but I'm trying to avoid like a spike, right? What if,
Ebbs
what
and
if
flows.
next spring we get a 4-foot, blizzard, right? And
Bring it on.
No, but again, we're gonna have if we had a little bit of contingency money there to pay the overtime, pay the fuel.
Well, that's where they're
No.
planning for.
Yeah,
If I have, I'm planning. This is what the last 5 springs have looked like in terms of plowing and man hours and that kind of stuff. And I'm adding an extra 10% because I anticipate that we could have, based on the Farmer's Almanac, we could have a horrible spring. And so now I'm gonna add this into it, and it's defensible as opposed to, well, I'm just gonna pull 10
Put it
grand out of
away.
my tuchus and put it into an ETF because I think we might need it.
That's true. No,
Right,
I
so I think
understand
that-
both sides.
Pros and cons both
Well,
ways.
it's like when we had that ice storm, remember a couple of years ago, took down all the trees around town, you know, and we used a lot of overtime, time materials to just go around, cut up the trees. We had to rent the wood chipper, you know, and I don't know. How do we plan for these kind of events for the future? I mean, we can't cover every contingency.
No, you can't, but you
But
can.
just so we don't get that big spike.
But
onto
you
the
can mitigate
taxpayers.
your ebbs and flows with it
Yeah.
because you
I think so.
replenish.
I mean, even if we're just averaging, we're you're still funding it. I mean, if you put it in the budget, you're funding it.
Yeah, but only
If
to
you've
the
got the-
tune of $1, because it underrepresents
Oh,
what the
I
town is
understand what
actually
you're saying,
spending from a
But
budget
if they had put
standpoint.
in $5,000
Yeah.
and we didn't have the storm, we still would have raised it. We would have still had to raise that $5,000 that we wouldn't use.
Correct, but we would use it. Would go into the unexpended fund balance, and it would pay down a tax rate
That's
for next
true.
year.
You would pay it down. Yeah.
It
No,
used
I
to
understand.
be paid down the tax rate,
Mhm.
but by not putting it in, now we've got to come up with
But
$9,000.
that's not probably the only dollar, that's probably not the only place, right?
Oh, I know it's not the only place, and I have
So our budget's
adamantly
gonna go up if we start putting
correct.
all of those in there.
But they have to be in there because the taxpayer has a right to know what they're paying for.
I'm
If-
not arguing.
No, I
just
know,
trying to
I'm just saying,
understand.
but yeah, the taxpayer
Yeah.
has a right to know
Mhm.
what it is you're budgeting for. And to say I'm gonna budget $1 when you know full well there will be costs, because this is not the only place. If you go down to the
There was
fire
another one.
department,
Yeah,
okay,
mileage and financial administration, there's $1. Dry hydrants,
right, dry hydrants in the actual budget that was submitted was not $1. It was it was $1,500.
Eversource $1.
Right, Eversource, you know you're gonna spend
well, there's
power.
that.
But
yes.
I thought,
This was-
and maybe I'm wrong, but I thought they moved all the electricity to
Heat.
a line
No,
for
No.
total
no,
government
because there's
buildings.
costs associated
It's still
with
by
this
the
showing up.
buildings, the different buildings.
Yeah.
But I thought they moved the total cost, so that is that line
And if
like
they-
way under expended because they're expending them in the dollar lines.
No, I don't think so. You mean under general
Like, is there
government
one
buildings?
general government buildings
No,
for
under general
electricity
government-
for $10,000, and we're drawing each out of that?
There's $12,000 for Eversource under general government buildings, and we've spent $7,800.
Okay.
So, my issue is that, to a certain extent,
For electric, we get one bill for all of the buildings except for the library and the fire department. They have their own bills.
but it gets broken out and allocated to each department correctly.
Okay. well,
I think
then
each
that-
meter, right? Each building probably has its own meter.
It's all identified on.
Is there any offset from the solar?
Sure. Not
That
much.
wouldn't show up on here, though.
Not much, but there is some. I mean, there is some saving.
So, from a budget perspective with regard to doing that, I think it's
Phone's $1.
it's not budgeting. It's abdicating to a certain extent. You're abdicating.
Abdicating.
Right? So, and to a certain extent,
That should-
there was a, so
Yeah.
this is, the edict, not edict, the vote from town was, for the fire department, reduce your budget by $15,000. But this was how it was done, was moving those lines. Those lines were not not $1. The phone was $850. The heat was at $4,000. Eversource was $3,200. So those lines had money in them
Originally.
and as voted on by the town. Now the town did say reduce the budget by $15,000, and we'll leave it up to you, department head, to figure out where that money should come from.
Okay.
But
Because if I look at total fire department,
yeah,
I'm
it's
at
down
21.82 right now.
Am I correct?
Well, it's always gonna be like that because they don't pay the members until the very end of the year.
Till the end of the year, December.
Right.
They get their hours,
The reimbursement for
mileage,
members, the
whatever.
$44,000, never
yeah.
gets paid out until December.
No.
Got it.
So
that's
they
it,
are
yeah.
always going to show low.
And they spend that 44K, that gets divided.
Yeah, that gets,
It gets
that line will get
divided
zeroed
up
out.
among all the firefighters based on their,
Based on
Participation
response
and-
call time.
yeah.
So we're pointing out those $1, and would I be correct in saying that that decision was made prior to our current town administrator coming on board?
Oh, yeah, because it was happened at
Right.
town
This happened at, town meeting.
town
before it
meeting,
was-
right after
was
town
being
meeting.
Right, so I think we've communicated that to Joe as far as the future, is these need to be appropriate in the future. They can't be at
Real
all.
numbers,
They need, and I can't
based on
imagine that,
historical.
that Lucia would not understand that.
Well, it's
No.
not,
Right.
it's the department head has to, because they're in control of their budget. They're the ones that.
But
They're
again,
in
the
She
Board
didn't
of
make this-
Selectmen
but they didn't
oversees the
go-
department heads
And they were told to make that cut and didn't
by whom?
by the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen said,
But I don't think they weren't the ones entering this information into the
no, the town
accounting system.
administrator or whoever the financial administrator was, but it was based on input that
time.
was given to them. They didn't make those decisions. It was input that was given to them by the, the department head, based on votes from town meeting.
Okay, so.
So anyway,
I
there
will
just,
understand.
there needs to be guidance and that it
Yes.
needs to be adhered to.
Yes, I don't.
Quick thing on Mike and I applied for, it was a rural fire department grant, $10,000 grant through State Farm Insurance and the National Volunteer Fire Department Association. It was to buy turnout gear for 2 new firefighters, jackets, boots, the helmet, and everything. The stuff's very expensive, right? 'Cause
Yes,
it's,
yeah, it is.
and we didn't get the grant. Mike
Mm.
Mike told me, he sent me an email last week or so
Mm.
saying State Farm Insurance didn't award us the money. We were gonna use that 10K to
Oh.
buy the new turnout gear.
Oh.
The reason I brought it up, it shows the personal protective gear.
Right.
And Mike has
Yeah.
a budget of $7,500.
Yeah.
So we could have used the State Farm money to buy
Sure,
the 2 sets of equipment
But
for the
you
new
get it.
firefighters.
yeah.
Yeah. We applied, it's one of those
Yeah,
things.
you
Yeah.
nobody can say yes if you
No,
don't apply.
I don't mind.
Right.
I don't mind doing the paperwork. Hey,
You still have to budget for it, so in
yeah, but
case
it
they
would
say
have been
no.
nice to get
To get-
a
To get that
check
money,
revenue,
right.
to
Yeah.
buy
To
the
offset the
Yeah.
equipment for the fire department.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, where else? Oh, nope, this is the town projects one was,
Are you down to highways yet? DPW.
I was just about to get there.
Okay. Quick update on that. At the last Board of Selectmen meeting, I asked Dylan Eldridge, Director of DPW, where we stood on, the road salt and the calcium chloride and that type of thing. He said we got enough. So he said they have enough to go into winter.
So he should be able, he has another 5, for calcium, he has got another $5,000, he could
Yeah.
stock up a little bit
Yep.
to put us ahead, maybe not spend all 10,000.
But we're okay. We're not. He said he has.
Until we get 16 nasty storms.
Yeah, he said he has the road salt and all that now. And
Right.
also what they did, they were saving a lot of money. They rented that screener from, I think Coleman.
Yeah, to
Where-
screen the sand.
We have, we have a million tons of sand out behind
Yeah.
the building there.
Sure.
So they're screening it themselves to, get the rocks and
Yeah,
debris out.
right.
So that we process our own road sand so we don't have to buy it.
Right.
That's that big
Nice.
pile they put out there.
Something's wrong with the percentage on that.
Which?
Total highways DPW.
Yeah, they're
It's showing
167%
167%.
of their budget. Yeah, because they spent 280 over. They
Okay.
spent
Oh,
in
there it
excess.
is. It was on the
top,
fold.
with the road improvements.
Yeah.
It's because of the emergency road improvements.
Okay.
That's where
That
it came. That's
blew
where
that
it is.
line.
So you see the
676.
338,
That's the
that was
emergency.
that was
Before.
before the additional 233.
Right.
The,
For
For
the
the-
additional
for the-
233.
For
for the
Oh,
latest,
for the thing we contracted for.
yeah, we
Movie,
just contracted
Colby,
for
and
this
Deer.
week.
But I thought this was 352, but it's not. It's 338.
The last number I had was 352.
That's what I thought. So
That,
maybe
that's an old number. The 338, it went up a little bit because we got another invoice from a
Okay.
vendor.
All right,
But I'm pretty certain it's 352K. But again, we're overshooting on because of the storm.
yeah, everything else is well within,
Mhm.
except for the software computer support. That's probably iWorks, and that's $1,500 like once a year. So they're gonna fully expend that every year.
Yeah.
But everything else, from tools and vehicle repairs, doing great on vehicle repairs actually.
Because the equipment's new.
Right.
Yeah.
Mostly.
No,
new.
most of
Mostly.
the dump trucks and stuff are new. Yeah.
as
Once
long
we
as
get
we're
that-
doing preventive. to
We
keep
are.
things- yeah,
Dave
keep
Dave
things
Swift is
going.
really good.
Okay,
They're
good.
servicing the grader, the loaders.
The prevention's really important.
That's that's where we're spending money on a lease, but we're not spending a lot of money on repairs. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
the
no, it's
cost
good.
balance.
It's good. I think you guys have a good handle on
And
it.
I'm sure the portion of this legal fees from it's it's under legal miscellaneous legal fees. They budgeted 500. There's 2,900. I'm sure with the change of personnel and those kinds of things that there
I'm
were
not sure
quite
with that. Yeah,
a few.
I'm not sure what's exactly under there
Let me look.
because town council that's our regular attorney,
Right.
and we're underrunning there. But like you say, we've spent $2,900 on miscellaneous legal fees. I'm not exactly sure what that expense is.
So I like to go to the bottom.
Mhm.
We're at 66.35% total expense.
Mhm. It's a small number.
We're spot on. I mean, we're as,
Oh,
as
at the
year-
on the last
as
page,
year to
yeah.
date, we're spot on at 66%.
Yeah, that's I brought that up earlier. I calculated
Right.
we're actually underrunning just a couple
Oh,
percent.
sorry.
The miscellaneous legal fees is Donahue, Tucker, and Candela.
I don't know.
$945 for charter communications, and then $1,900 for the 2026 town meeting.
Was that the guy who
That
how
was
we
the
have an-
attorney.
Yeah, we
the
had a-
attorney we have at the
Right,
town meeting?
because our attorney has to go to Conway's town meeting.
That's right.
why-
So we had to bring in a
so we have to
separate
bring in a
attorney.
separate. But we've had to do that for the last 3 years.
But
Why
we
would
pay our attorney the same thing to be there.
No, our attorney would have been under. We have him on retainer.
Town
But you still have
council's
to
on a
pay it.
retainer.
You
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
have to pay it.
Yeah, because we had to have a substitute attorney.
I guess my point is, we've had a substitute attorney for the last 3 years. How did we not know that it was going to be more than $500 for that line? It was $945 just for the charter communication. I could see if we didn't expect to be negotiating with charter communications, that it would have been, the $500 because that's what it cost us to get an attorney here for that day.
The charter communications that is the
There's a spec-
that's the
$500 for the
spectrum
day?
town
The spectrum,
contract.
what?
$500 for the day for an attorney?
I
I, think
don't-
that's like 20-minute call.
No, well,
Yeah.
it depends on.
Yeah, they won't
Really?
answer an
Yeah.
email for under $100.
Right.
So, at any rate, I'm just
Yeah.
a little surprised that wasn't better budgeted for.
Okay, I think on the charter stuff, that's wrapping up. We haven't had a contract with Spectrum
Right.
for a couple of years, which impacts the fees we
For
collect for
Madison
Mad
TV,
TV. and,
right.
yeah.
Town meeting.
Right.
So that's what that cost is. There's an attorney
Yeah.
negotiating that new
Right.
contract.
From our same.
Yeah, because they had to be it was a specialty, I think. We had to go to somebody who
Specializes in
specializes in
like
charter
cable TV
communications. cable
contracts.
TV,
you know,
But
municipal
inside the
contracts.
same
Right,
same
it's not a normal
firm,
thing.
law firm.
Yeah,
And then I don't understand the general maintenance for Parks and Recreation. I've moved on to the next page.
Oh, that's the
To the ball field, lawn care for the ball
that
field.
was it. The 5-6 grand to put.
$5,700. It says prepaid. It's not the spreading of stuff. I don't. Yeah, it's like
I think that was
we
the,
budgeted $500 and we spent $5,900.
Yeah, that was. I remember that contract. It was back in March, And that was to put down the fertilizer and grub control and all that on the ball fields.
What? So is that money going to come back to us out of the ETF? Because the ball
not
field
sure.
ETF has $32,000 in it.
Wow.
So that money should come back to us from the ball field ETF.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We should ask Lucia.
Yep.
Ball field ETF to pay.
Was that being put away for like irrigation and stuff?
For the
that-
ETF?
Yeah. I mean, did it have a
know.
separate purpose?
We'd have to go
I
back
know
and
there
read
was
what the
an
wording
original-
is.
There was one for the ball field at one point that included lighting.
Yeah,
um,
I know.
So I don't know if
It
that
might
was-
have a
It
specific.
might just say upgrades,
Yeah.
maintenance
But
and
then
upgrades
maybe-
if they were smart. They just did that, and it gives you flexibility with how to use it.
Can I look at this?
Mhm.
What did have Lake monitoring in there?
Um,
Sanitation.
I understand the medical HRA. That's going to happen. You can do your best to try and anticipate that using 5-year averages, but
Which we did. Remember, you and I
Yeah,
did that
we
when
did
we
it.
were.
and then
We were
one
set up
person
averages.
has a an out of normal issue, and it's going to throw it all wonky.
But our health insurance was $286K this year,
Yeah.
which was that was good.
So
We-
I'm,
You're right
I'm
on
moving.
target there.
Moving on with
Yeah.
regard, I'm in police, and I don't understand salary full-time holiday. We had nobody work on a holiday. We had no police officers on holidays because it's 0.
We're gonna see. Oh no, Josh, Officer Shackford just graduated from the police academy.
Yeah, but he's been being paid his full
I was
salary
just-
the whole time.
I was
It
thinking
doesn't
that,
change his
and
salary,
we've
yeah.
been paying him so while
Yeah.
he was at the academy.
It
So
doesn't-
But do
doesn't
we
change that.
pay different? So let's say Chief Hayford is on the holiday. Does he get an extra pay for working the holiday or just
I
salary?
don't think so.
whatever?
I'm not
He's
sure.
salary.
Well,
I don't
this
think so.
That's
this
what-
says full-time officers, but they could still be hourly full-time
Mhm.
officers.
right. So if we
They
have,
might
do we
just
have
have
any
it
hourly
understood.
officers
Yeah. Well, I would.
or are they salary?
No, I think they're hourly
I think. I.
because we bring in
That could be a
we
distinction
bring in
of
like
difference.
part timers once in a while.
But I
think when
can't
people
imagine
on
that Chief
vacation and stuff.
Hayford worked every holiday.
No, I can't either.
Somebody had
but-
to have worked the holiday.
But maybe somebody else who's also salary, not hourly, worked the holiday.
I think
But
he's the only salary.
Is he the
I
only?
think
okay.
so, because when we talked about being on call, none of them get compensated for being on call and available.
Well, they
which I
do.
think
They
is-
just don't get compensated the way the rest of the state does.
Right, okay.
So he was looking at changing that to be more in
Right,
line with
right.
how the rest of
But
the
I
state
think
does.
that's when he said he was salaried, so it wouldn't pertain to him anyway, because he's salary. It would to the other guys who aren't. So I think,
Okay.
if I
But I do
remember.
think, regardless of whether you're salaried or not, because police and firefighters are different. They're a different breed on how they're compensated. I believe that if you're working a holiday, it's even if you're
Probably
salaried,
get
there's a
holiday pay,
still
yeah.
right. There's a differential.
Right, yeah.
But I was just curious because it shows
But
that
again,
we've
that could be-
expended.
that could be
Not
the
salaried.
what's that?
Hayford is salaried.
Hayford's
so,
salaried.
Yes.
But that could again be a difference with the software's been behind. They're preloading and catching up. It's been paid, but maybe it's out of a salary line versus a
Mm-hmm.
I don't know,
holiday.
they should tell me this was pretty tight, pretty good. So, but I think raising those questions and asking and saying, "Hey, this looks weird. It says 0.
Yeah.
Can you go check it?"
Police sergeant is also salaried.
Yeah, we're at full strength now. We have
Yeah.
four officers.
Um,
Yeah.
In the rec department, I was curious as to the overspend, $5,500 for a budget in supplies of $2,500. When I looked at what those were in this detailed drawdown, it says they were to United Rentals, and it was $110 each time. And I don't know what they may have been renting. It could be ball field lights or whatever, but I don't think that's a supply
Wait,
necessarily.
are those the porta toilets? No. You know,
Oh, I don't know, but
we-
that's not
we-
a supply.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but United
Maybe-
Rentals, we rent from United Rentals for the porter
Yeah,
job.
If it's
But
under,
But did
if
they
it's
have
then
any
under rec
bouncy
department,
houses, things like that?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would think that would be in equipment,
Under the
which
field and stuff. That's where the porta.
Well,
Oh
if
no, there's
The
the
tents,
They're
what
for
about
the-
the tents?
I don't know. That's why.
Do they rent those tents? I'm not sure.
But regardless of what it is, I'm not questioning what they
Yeah,
rented.
I
I'm
don't
sure
know
they
what it
rented what
is.
they needed, but to me, it shouldn't be in supplies. It should be in either equipment or contracts or whatever. So, but anyway, that just struck me as odd. All right, that's all the issues or concerns, big concerns that I
How about
had.
maintenance for the solid waste for the transfer station?
The way.
Maintenance, they're over, they've spent 14,000 versus 10,000 budgeted. I mean, they're fine total, but it just. It's a little bit
On
bigger.
maintenance, what was that?
Yeah.
I
Let's
think,
see.
was it the loader? I know I had to go down and pick up parts for it one time.
Zoning, legal.
But they're
maintenance.
still-
Oh,
Here
so
we
it's
go.
Joe's transportation costs.
They're still,
No,
still like
Joe
that.
donated his time to the,
So it was Mobile Mike
yeah.
came a
that's-
lot and fixed things.
That was the
Coleman
loader,
is
the
also
cat
the
loader.
auto
Oh, okay,
repairs.
yeah, okay.
Mobile Mike was 2,500 this time, 2,200 that time, 730 that time.
Oh, yeah, plus the parts.
Right.
That loader's becoming
Yeah,
a money
the-
pit. That's why Sharon and I discussed.
$2,900 in parts for the radiator cooler, pin bearing, and supplies for the
Right.
420F.
Then there was a,
Then a tensioner belt and a pulley
then there was
for another
a
1,000.
oil transmission cooler
Mm,
that was like big bucks. I had to go down and pick it up. It was during the storm,
Wow.
and they needed it to load the trucks.
Hmm.
And the loader
$3,200
You're just
for repair
everywhere,
and
aren't
parts
you?
for the compactor. So they had a
Oh,
bunch of stuff.
the lines blew out.
Yeah, this drives me nuts. I gotta talk to her about this. It just
Yeah.
says John Aruda reimbursable.
Mhm. Yeah.
For what?
I'm not sure. No,
Yeah,
I
thank you
don't
for
know.
that.
Yeah.
But, so they're throwing all the equipment, maintenance, repairs under that maintenance line.
For the transfer station. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
yeah,
reason
yeah.
it's overshooting is because the loader needed some high dollar repairs twice this year.
Okay.
That's what, it's starting to wear out. I know the CIP, I think, has it for 2028 or something to replace it.
Yeah, and then what? And I know the zoning board overspend on their legal fees is the cell tower,
Mhm.
the cell tower case.
Wow.
But again,
That's a lot of money.
we're 64.93% of the way through the year,
Mhm.
and we're at 66.35% of the budget. So
Mhm.
we're tracking pretty good,
Mhm.
considering
We're close.
we're
Considering-
close.
Considering everything,
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Considering a
Considering
catastrophic
the
event.
the catastrophic event,
Yeah.
yeah.
So had we not had that catastrophic event, we'd be tracking well below.
We'd be in
We'd
really
be-
good shape.
We'd be in
Yep.
good shape, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's good
It
management
is what it
everywhere else.
is, you know.
job.
and
It's good management
I
everywhere
just,
else.
I don't want to say concern, but my discussion has been knowing that we have these emergency expenses and knowing that there's stuff still in the budget that will get spent, like those member
The
stuff for the fire
department,
department
yeah.
and salaries and all the other kind of stuff. What is the Board of Selectmen talking about with their department heads? What are the department heads looking at and saying, I could probably do without this year and it's not going to hurt us. It's not going to impact us. I had planned on it. I put $3,000 in my budget for it, but we probably don't actually need to spend that. I'm going to wait and see how we are doing closer to October, November, December kind of time frame to see how this all shakes out and not make the decision to spend until
That's my
near the
concern
end of
is
the year.
early October.
So right, and maybe not spend some of this because from a cash perspective, so you don't have additional
Cash
bills coming in.
What we did as well, there were the warrant articles. I can't remember exactly, Noreen, how many for the charities. There was, the Meals on
Oh.
Wheels,
Oh
Gibson
yeah,
Center,
yeah, there was.
North
Total in there.
North Healthcare or whatever. We haven't paid those yet. We're gonna wait till December.
I thought we paid some of them.
It was total of 36,140.
Yeah, but I asked Lucia the other day, we're gonna wait till December till
Wow.
we get the new.
I mean, that can hurt them too, but.
I know, but we
What can
we have a
you do?
cash flow problem right
Sure,
now, and
Sure, understood.
Can you show encumbrances, Joe? Can you have them encumber things like salaries? Which would.
It'll give you a better
it would give
idea
you a
of
better
how much
idea of
money
the
is
end of the
left.
year. I don't know how, I mean, our software does it pretty well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but to be able to encumber and say, you know, we're gonna start out the year and show most of the salaries encumbered at zero at the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
For-
so
in-
that
in
that way there
January,
you
we're
can
gonna
see
show-
what
You
other
show that you paid.
'Cause
what
it's-
other
paid
moving
salaries.
expenses you have to be able to make it to the end of the year that aren't encumbered. I don't know if your software can do that easily.
It's
enough or not.
QuickBooks.
I
I
don't.
don't know.
I'm not sure, Jim.
It was just an thought.
But it might be an exercise worth pursuing to give you a
Better
better
planning.
idea
Mhm.
of what you're going to have to encumber, like healthcare costs and things of that nature,
Right.
salaries, contracts, those kinds of things that are we've already obligated or at least
Right.
obligated
All of
ourselves.
the 501c3s.
It's- yeah.
You know,
Right.
they're to be encumbered to the bottom line at the end of the year.
Mhm.
But then it gives you a better idea of your
Of what your
discretionary
cash- Of what your
spending.
cash is gonna look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, we don't have to pay the fire department, member reimbursements. And if we rescheduled the payments for the school to the SAU
And put that
and
in, throw that in.
the 501c3,
Yeah.
the local agencies, charities,
Mhm.
will pay them in December, that once we start to get the revenue
Tax
in
bill
from the
revenue,
second.
yeah.
So again, trying to minimize, the cash flow issue.
Any other questions about the budget drawdown?
No.
No?
Let's move on.
Okay, let's
I mean,
move
we
on.
got more
I
meetings.
second that.
We got more meetings to
Yeah.
come.
Okay, not much of an update for the CIP. We did talk about our schedule going forward. We had a meeting yesterday, CFP
Yeah,
meeting
right.
yesterday. We took a look at it. There's work that has to be done. There was an email that went out to the department heads that said we need your input by September 18th so that we can start the process of how it moves forward through the CIP, the ABC, the selectmen and the department heads all coming together to get it fleshed out so that by the time we get to December,
Mid-December.
we are able to give to the selectmen, this is what the CIP looks like, this is what we're gonna be looking for, this is what we need to be planning for in terms of warrant articles in order to support the approved efforts on the CIP. So, we're working on that. We're working on that. All right, administrative, I did have one thing. I know we talked yesterday during the CIP meeting about the Alpha contract. The town, in its budget for this year, back in February, discussed that the general government building line, there's a town projects line underneath that. There is $20,000 in that line. They discussed that that would be more than enough to support the two projects that were on tap, which are the porches to be done, to be refurbished, and $5,000 to pay for Alpha. So one of the things that has to happen is going back to the school. They've talked to the village district of Edelweiss, the VDOE folks. They are interested in participating as well. So it would appear that we may have
So funds in this year's budget in the town side.
in the town side.
Not
I
in
know
the
it's not
school
in the
side.
school side.
So
You-
what if you want me to go back to the school and say, before we do our DOE 25, do we hold enough to actually enter into a contract?
Well, we have to. I guess we need to understand how much that's going to cost because the
I'd
estimate we have is from last
we'd have
year.
to drill that down
Yeah.
with the town properties and everything. I mean, I've only got 2 weeks before my next meeting, and I can make any changes to that DOE. Instead of holding the 2.5%, we could hold enough over to cover that.
To cover that.
If doing it now seems to be in the best interest, and if the town has money
It is.
available.
Or at least
Although-
initiating it now, because
Otherwise,
maybe
we'd have to wait till July when you hit your new,
When, right,
You
when,
hit the new
when
budget.
we hit the
Yeah.
new budget.
right,
right.
So, I mean, I'm happy to make that
that'd be great.
proposal to the board, but I'd have to reach out to we'd have to, I know Heather sent the Alpha information over to
Lucia.
Lucia.
Right. And
But
that's
we'd
how
have to
we-
get somebody out quickly to say, okay, without Freedom and Tamworth, with the change of adding the village district of Idlewise and all the
All the
Madison
town-
properties, you'd be looking at a bill of $40,000. The town has 5, village district has 3,000. School would have to come up with X amount of money.
Right. Well, I think it should, and hopefully they're smart enough to break it down by it. And I don't think it'll be $40,000 because it was only
I-
yeah, it was only
13
13.
for all 3
Again,
towns.
I'm
Yeah,
just, I
yeah.
have
Yeah,
no
we'll say-
numbers in my head
I'll say
other than
$15,000, and it's for the school properties. It's $8,000 for VDOE. It's $3,000, and for the
Right.
town properties, it's $7,000, whatever it is. And each of us has to come up with that piece.
So
of
then-
it.
Might need a new quote, you know.
They're gonna need
because
a-
that
Right,
was an
absolutely
old
gonna
quote.
need a
Yeah,
new quote.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But it probably ain't gonna be 40.
But I would
But
have
again, I'm just throwing that. I had no number in my
no
head.
number.
Right.
Talk to Heather.
Yep.
Have her discuss it with Lucia, because I know after the meeting, Joy, who sits on the CIP, was gonna go back to Lucia and talk to her, so that those two could coordinate and connect and
Yep.
do whatever needs to be done in order to move this forward in a reasonable manner, if it makes sense to be able to do it this year. If it doesn't, and we need that $5,000 to not be spent because it gets added into the kitty for cash flow purposes, that's fine.
We'll put it in for next year.
We'll put it in for next year, right?
But for the school, it would still have to be for them in this, we're asking him
Right.
to look at it possibly for
this
this
year.
year, which is up till June 30.
Right, and if,
Also on the SIP, I saw you have the salt shed on there for 2027.
right,
That, you know, we applied for a $300,000, you know, federal grant.
Okay,
That is 75% of the estimated cost. So that would have to be a warrant article at the town meeting,
because of the grant,
you know,
to approve the grant if it comes through.
yeah,
and
the balance.
appropriate the money for the balance.
You know, the rough cost estimate was the salt shed would cost $400K.
That was back in February.
Yeah,
Okay, there was discussion in that February meeting about going back and getting some additional information. I don't, obviously then things happened February after February.
that was the last I've heard.
Right, so that needs to be updated.
We need to
and figure out
finalize.
what that's gonna look
We
like.
gotta
and-
prepare if we get that check, right? We're
Right.
gonna have to move on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
But we're
who's
also
the point person for that?
Jake was the one who got the. No, he got
We
the
need to poke.
cost estimate
But
for
I
the
know-
metal building.
And when I watched the February meeting, Nicole
Don't
who
poke
was
the
sitting
bear.
here. Nicole
poke-
was sitting here. That's why I was pointing.
Oh no,
there.
you said you gotta poke Jake.
Oh yeah, but Nicole was going to go back and do some checking on the state requirements matching what the proposal looked like to make sure that we were covering all of the state.
we want to
requirements.
make sure, yeah, we're in compliance.
Right.
I mean, we're gonna have to build it to the state environmental, right?
Yeah,
But we have to be prepared if we get that $300,000, you know, USDA rural grant.
Right.
One, we're gonna have to come up with, you know, the ballpark estimate, another $100K, right?
Right.
Because it's a 75% grant.
Right.
we have
So,
to match the.
That
25.
will have to be a warrant article on.
So
for
the question
town
is,
meeting.
what's Plan A if we get the Plan A is if we get the thing, how are we going to address the 25%? And Plan B is if we don't get it, what's the plan to still? We still have to build the salt shed at some point because we have to protect that stuff.
Yeah, the
the
concern is, you know, we're
environmental.
uphill from the lake here.
Mhm.
And, you know, we are doing the watershed study. Actually, we have a meeting tomorrow, Dave Scarborough meeting
Mhm.
tomorrow. You know, that chloride's running downhill
Yeah,
into the
into
lake.
the groundwater.
I
into
just
the
sent
groundwater.
a message. I just sent Heather a message, ask her to
But
rather than
again, we need a plan. It did go forward. Gene Shaheen put it in, you know, for the 27
Okay.
budget. Same with the dam. I saw Chris Pappas. We did a meet and greet thing a couple weeks ago, and he said it was still, you know, in committee. It's still being considered for the 27 budget.
Okay. Why do I have school written next? Oh, I have Alpha/school meeting.
Yeah,
Talk to you
yeah.
about that thing.
But,
Under administrative, the only other thing that I have is we obviously, with the loss of Doug, we have open positions on the board. So if you know anybody who would like to sit on the advisory budget committee, sorry, I do this to Nan all the time as I end up facing
It's
this way
fine.
and she gets my
I'm
back.
here.
If you know anybody who would like to sit on the advisory budget committee, I have the ability to appoint someone until town meeting where they would have to run again for the position. So-
Actually, you need like 2 people, right?
Yeah,
Minimum 2.
yeah,
Yeah,
2 or 3.
I do. We do. Well, Charlie's not here.
Oh, that's right.
Charlie.
Sorry,
I'm
I'm
missing
counting
Charlie.
heads going, wow, we
Still wanna-
have, I think we're authorized, what, 7?
I think we're authorized up to 7,
Seven.
including the 2 of you.
2 reps, yeah.
So there would be 3 of us, and then Charlie is
Charlie,
4.
and then one.
So you need
Doug
one
was
more.
five.
And
You
then
need
one.
Doug,
We need
you need
one.
Doug
Right.
replacement for Doug.
Replacement,
Yeah.
At least, yeah.
At least.
But I can appoint alternates too.
But we need alternates
Because
as well.
technically
Alternates.
Noreen is
I have an alternate.
an alternate. So I have two regular seats open,
That's right.
and then however many alternates we want.
But,
Okay? Anybody got anything else? Save
Motion-
rounds.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
that was
You-
quick.
you-
That
was,
did not
was
take
good.
anything.
Can
That
you
was
give
good.
them
That
a
was
chance to say no? I don't have anything
I
else.
saw 2 hands come flying in the air, figuring that we were good.
Lord. Oh,
Could
sorry.
you
That
please
was quick.
encourage
That was-
Charlie to watch this meeting so we don't have to repeat
Repeat
a
everything.
whole lot of things
Yes.
for him? Thank
So,
you.
all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
2016, we are adjourned.
Because we covered a lot of
So
ground.
we